Hello everyone and welcome to this new course. In this course, we will go over the entire process of creating a hall clock using Blender and Substance Painter from start to finish. We will go over the complete pipeline of creating a high quality realistic prop, starting with modeling the prop in Blender, texturing in Substance Painter, and finally lighting and rendering a portfolio piece back in Blender. This course will help you improve your 3D prop modeling and texturing skills massively as we go through each and every step together and learn many different techniques. After finishing the course, you would easily be able to create the renders shown in the trailer and create high quality props of your own. This course has 4 hours of content and we will go over each and every step in this course together and nothing will be skipped. The course does not have any kind of time lapse so that you can follow every step easily. We will start by modeling the prop in Blender and learn about various modeling techniques and also learn a lot about different modifiers. After finishing the modeling, we will apply all the modifiers and UV unwrap our model for export. We will import our model into Substance Painter to start with the texturing process. We will start by baking the mesh maps for our model. We will learn to create high quality and realistic materials and the key features of Substance Painter like smart masks, generators, smart materials, etc. At last, we will take our models back to Blender and render them. We will set up the material, lighting, and the cameras and learn how to use HDRIs to light up our scenes. We will finish the course by taking a portfolio ready render and a little bit of Photoshop editing. This course is for everyone who has a basic understanding of Blender and Substance Painter and wants to upgrade their skills. So I hope to see you there in the course. Thank you. Hello and welcome guys to this new tutorial where we will be creating a hall clock or also known as a grandfather clock in Blender and Substance Painter. So here I have opened up a new Blender file. So you can just click on General and we are greeted with a new Blender file. I will just press quickly A and then press Delete to delete everything over here in our scene. And also I will turn on my screencast keys so that you can just see all the shortcuts that I'm performing over here in the bottom left corner. As you can see, if I press Shift plus A, Shift D, all the shortcuts and also the mouse clicks are being repeated over here. So that makes it a little bit easier to follow. Alright, so in this very first lecture, we will just directly start with the modeling of our hall clock. So if you will go over in the course files, and over here in these folders you will find the reference images folder, and we have these two reference images, the front and the side, which are basically created by myself only. We will bring them into Blender and start working. So press 1 for the front view. So all these like views are different orthographic views to like help you better in working. You can see over here, currently we are in the user perspective mode, but if you press 1 on a number pad, it is the front view, 3 is for right view, 7 is for top, and 9 is for bottom. Alright, so for the front, I will press 1 first, then press Shift A, and go over to image and add a reference image. Then just select the folder in which I have both my images and select the front image over here like this. You can select it, press G, then Y to lock it on the Y axis and move it a little bit behind, just like this. Now you can press 3 for the right side view. So now I will press Shift A and add another reference image. And this time we will add the side reference image. Again, I will select it, press G, then X and move it a little bit backwards. Alright, so we have kind of a simple setup over here. If you press 1, then you will see it from the front side. If you press 3, then you will see it from the right side. This way we can work on our model with both of the angles and get everything correct, all the measurements and everything. Alright, so with this, we can just right away start working. What I will do now is I will just press Shift A and add a simple cube first. Let's just scale it down and first create this bottom piece over here. So you can scale it down like this. And first we need to make sure that both our reference images are matching. So now press 3 and yeah, I think they are. You can press S then Y and scale it up like this. You can just move it around and scale it down to make sure it fits all the corners. Obviously you don't have to go like exactly by the reference image. If you want to add like some things on your own, you can definitely do that. But yeah, we will for sure roughly follow it around. Now press 1 and just again press S then X and scale it up like this. Now press 3 and make sure everything is matching up perfectly. So yeah, that means our reference images and our model is aligned pretty much correctly. And yeah, let's go ahead. All right. Next, what we can do is, let's see. Let's just create the basic shape first, and then we'll work on like creating these ridges and everything. Let's add this thing now. So I will just press Shift A again, add a cube, place it over here, and again scale it down according to my reference image over here. Press 3 for the right side view and select it and move it over here like this. Press G then Y and move it over here in the front. And yeah, now I will just show you a nice little trick that you can use the mirror modifier to copy it around. We don't have to like duplicate it like this by pressing Shift plus D. Just select it, go to modifier, add a mirror modifier, and you will notice that nothing really happens because currently we want this like object to be mirrored according to this object because we want it on like all four sides of this object. So what we will do now is we will select the mirror object as this thing. So select this object and in the mirror modifier, select this piece. Now you will see it is mirroring up perfectly on the x axis, on the y axis, and on the z as well. We don't want it over here at the top. So remove the z axis and then you can see if you select it and move it around, all of them would be affected. And yeah, let's press 1 and now we can press Shift A and add the larger cube over here that is at the top. Scale it up. Press 3 for the right side view and sorry, just press S then just a second, press S then Y I think and scale it down like this till here. Just like that. And yeah, we are looking pretty good over here. Next thing that I want to do is obviously we have this like curved shaped over here at the top. Okay, just a second. I have to scale it down a little bit more on the x-axis like this, just so it fits these lines. Yeah, that's pretty good. Sorry. And yeah, as I was saying, we have this like curved shape over here, but I won't be adding it right now because we have to add like a lot of edge loops like this. If you press Ctrl R, you can add edge loops very easily across your model. And if we give this shape right now, I will just quickly show you how we can give this shape. You can just select, press first Ctrl R and add edge loop in the center, hit right click, and we will have something like this. And then you can just move both of these edges down, move this a little bit up. Also make sure your X-ray is enabled. That way you won't, that way you will be able to select all the vertices. But I'm just showing you right now, I'm not really doing it. And then you can just select this edge, then press Ctrl B like this. And if you scroll it to increase the number of edges, you can see you can smoothen it out. And yeah, as you can see, it is not perfect. So you can just move it up a little bit more. And it takes a little bit of like tries to get it perfect. You can just give it a shape like this and select it all and move it upwards. And yeah, now it is pretty good. But as I said, as soon as you like add this shape, it would be like really difficult to add these edge loops. As you can see, now they won't go around the entire object. This way they will, but around here they cannot, because we have like a weird n1 in between. So we will add this shape at the last, I think, when we have created all our like ridges and all these windows that we have to create in our main object. So yeah, this is what I was getting at. I will just undo everything and keep it just like that. All right, so first we can start by creating this small piece, or let's just go with the smallest. Let's create this one first. So this one is really easy. You just need to add edge loops wherever you feel like there is like a shape change, if you want to put it that way. And then you can just select that particular loop and scale it down like this. Press S to scale down. Now you can place one over here, again scale it down. I think we cannot really see it properly, but we have something like this over here. Obviously, again, as I said, we don't need to follow the, what I say, the reference images exactly. We can give them little bit shapes on our own. We can just select this face at the bottom, press I to insert this, then press E to extrude it downwards. Yeah, as I said, you can create any of the shapes on your own, and then you can select it, shade smooth this, and the shading will go all weird. Now just enable auto smooth from over here in the object data properties, and then it will have nice shading. One more thing that we can do is to improve the visibility of the edges. That I like to do with my projects is go over here and just enable cavity and shadow. This will just make everything look a little bit better and like easier to look at. And yeah, this way everything looks a little bit nicer. So you can just enable these two things. Also, if you want, we can select this, go into modifier and add a bevel modifier as well. You can see the bevel modifier will smoothen it out a little bit. If you want to add that, you can definitely go ahead with it. Enable harden normals. As soon as you see, if you disable harden normals, the shading is a little bit weird. When you enable it, things look a little bit better. You can increase the segments, but I will keep it at one only. And if you want to like select the complete loop, you can hold Alt and select the loop. And you can see if you scale it down, you can create these like small edges. All right, I think I'm pretty happy with this small shape. And before we actually proceed, let's just quickly save our Blender file. So hit Control plus S. And in the Blender files folder, I will just save this as clock, or let's save it as hall clock. Hit save. And yeah, let's move ahead. I will select this now. And one more thing that I want to mention before we like actually start working is, whenever you like change the scale of the objects like this or like anything, whenever you change the scale, make sure to always press Ctrl A and apply the scale just like this. I will just quickly do it for all three objects. Select it, press Ctrl A and apply the scale. And I've explained this in a lot of my tutorials, but let me just quickly demonstrate by an example that why we have to do this. I will quickly add two cubes. You don't have to do this. I'm just showing this for demonstration purposes. And I will press S then X and scale them on the X axis by 3. So you can type in 3 on your number pad and they will be scaled just like this, just so that they are both scaled exactly equal. And now both of them are like scaled on the X axis by 3 times, and I will apply the scale for this one and I won't apply the scale for this one. So this one has the scale applied and this one does not. Now when I select it, this one, the one that does not have the scale applied, and try to bevel it. So to bevel any of the edges, you can select them like this by holding shift, then press Ctrl B to bevel it out like this. Let's just select all of them, then press Ctrl B and I will bevel it out like this. And you will notice that the bevel looks really weird. It looks as if it is stretched out. And I will select this one and you will immediately notice the difference. Select it all, then press Ctrl B and bevel it out. You can see that the bevel is like much more uniform over here. because we applied the scale for this and we did not apply the scale for this over here. So yeah, that's why I wanted to mention, anytime you do any of these like scaling operations, make sure to apply the scale, because if you do not, like everything will look a little bit weird. The bevel, extrude, inset, all these commands. This thing looks a little bit skewed, so I will move it over here. Now let's come over to this piece. Again, as I said, to create these ridges, you can just keep on pressing Control R and add like a bunch of different loops. It does not really have to be like accurate. You can just add them anywhere. And then just hold Alt and select them. We can scale this one up. Make sure to always select them all. It is not being selected for some reason. So you can just select it like this. Hold Alt, select this loop and scale it inwards. Now add one edge loop over here. Again, scale it down to have this like straight line. You can also snap it to have it like perfect. You can go over here and enable vertex snapping. Now when you scale it, then you can just press Control and you can see it will snap it over here, but it's not really working right now. So yeah, press S, then X, lock it on the X axis like this, then hold Control and you can see it will snap them perfectly. If it is not working, make sure to go over here and enable scale, so that it affects the scale as well. Then it will start to work. And yeah, now let's hold Alt again, select this. You can add one more loop over here and scale it down, just like that. Add one over here, scale it up. And yeah, this is pretty much it. As you can see, we have created like a nice looking shape. Hit right click, shade smooth, enable auto smooth. And yeah, that's pretty good. All right, let's create these things now over here. The faces. So there are like multiple ways to create this. You can either like press Control R and add like edge loops this way and just place them exactly according to the edges in the reference image like this. And the other way would be to just simply press 3 for the face select this face, press 1 for the front view, enable X-ray, and then just press I to insert this. And you can insert this face like this and then scale it according to the reference image. Very simple. So yeah, both these ways are totally up to you how you want to do them. One more thing that I want to do before I actually create this thing is that you will notice that uh, if you press 3 and enable X-ray, this thing is also present over here. So on the front as well and on the sides. So instead of creating like two times over here and over here, we can just simply again use a mirror modifier for this as well. So how we are going to do that? The way we can use mirror modifier for this one is just select it, press tab, press Control R and add an edge loop right in the center like this. So hit right click so that the edge loop is exactly in the center. Then press 1, enable X-ray, and you can just select everything over here on the right side, then press X and delete it. Just so we have like exactly half of the object left, just like this. Then you can come in the modifiers and add a mirror. And as soon as you do that, you can see simply we have a mirror modifier working perfectly. And now whatever you do over here on this face, it will automatically happen over here as well. So that's quite handy in my opinion. Let's press 1, press slash to come out of the isolation mode. I forgot to mention it, but whenever you press like slash on your number pad, you can isolate any of the objects. It is really handy as you can work like alone with those objects without any obtrusions, and that works a lot better in my opinion, because sometimes you have like a lot of different objects in your scene. So at those times works really well. What I will now do is I want to have them exactly like in the center. So I will make sure both of them are perfectly aligned. So to do that, what you can do is we can use just the copy location. If you select them both, press Ctrl C, you will see this copy attributes menu. And if you don't see it, go over to edit preferences, and in the add-on section, make sure to search for copy attributes and just enable it. It is quite a handy add-on. Make sure to enable it. It is added like by default in Blender. And now you can select this, then press Ctrl C and copy location. And now you can see both of them are exactly at one place only, like the origin is at the same place. Now I will just select it and move it upwards like this. I want to make sure that it is fitting the reference image perfectly. And yeah, I think it is. If it is not, you can move around the reference image instead of moving them around, because now we have it perfectly in the center. Let's hit save. And I think this is pretty good for the first lecture. And we will continue detailing these pieces in the next lecture, adding all these ridges and everything. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I will see you in the next one. Hello and welcome guys. So now let's continue modeling our hall clock. So press 1 again for the front view, and let's enable X-ray. Let's select this piece first. And what I will do now is I will just press Ctrl R and let's add a bunch of edge loops. Press Ctrl R and you can scroll to increase the number of them. So let's add 2 now. Hit right click to place them at the center. Then you can press S then Z and scale them up like this. Now press 3 for the right side view, and let's add 2 edge loops over here as well. Again hit right click and press S then Y and scale them up this way. Alright. Disable X-ray and let's select this face and select this face at the same time. And now when you press S, you can insert it like this. But the thing is, if you press 1 and enable X-ray, if I try to insert it this way, you will notice it is being inserted like from all of the like corners, and we do not want to insert it over here. We just want it on these three sides. So to turn that off, just press I once and then press B, turn the boundary off, and now you can see it is being inserted perfectly how we like. So let's insert this till here. Okay, sorry. Yeah, that's fine. I have selected both of them. I thought I did select this one. Now you can hold Alt, select this loop, hold Shift and Alt, then select this loop, and I will just press E. And if you press E to extrude them, you can see it is not really working properly. So hit right click and just undo everything. Again, make the selection. This time press Alt plus E and then select extrude faces along normal. This will help you like extrude them perfectly. And now it is pretty good. Let's extrude this till here. And yeah, you will see it is being mirrored as well. We do not really need it on the back side. So yeah, over here is fine. Next, what I will do is, let's see. I will undo this first, and I just wanted to reduce the height of this a little bit. I think till here is fine. Then you can press tab, press Ctrl R, add an edge loop like this, and add another edge loop like this. Now just select this loop first, so hold Alt and just bring it out a little bit. So press G then Y and bring it out like this. Similarly, do the same thing for this, hold Alt and select the loop, and again just bring this out till here. Then I will just again select both of them while holding Shift and Alt, press Ctrl B to bevel them, to smoothen this a little bit, to create something like this. And yeah, I think this looks pretty good. Let's hit save and continue working. Next step is to work on our main piece, that is this top part. So let's start right away. So let's see. I'll increase the size of this a little bit. Press tab and let's just roughly add a bunch of edge loops first. So we can add one over here. Can add one over here like this. One over here as well. Before I actually start working on this, what I will do is I will similarly use the mirror modifier like we did with this piece. But this time, instead of like dividing it to uh, two pieces, let's just divide it into four. So press Ctrl R, add edge loop in the center, hit right click, and it will be divided like this. Then press Ctrl R and add edge loop like this. Again, hit right click, and you will see it is being divided into four equal parts. Press 7, enable X-ray, and carefully press 1 for the vertices select and select this side completely. Press X and delete it so that only half of it remains. Now again press 7 for top view and select this side as well and delete it. And you can see we precisely have only 1/4 of our piece remaining. Now we can add the mirror modifier and just mirror it on the X and Y axis. And you can see now it is being divided into four equal parts. So we basically only have to work on this like 1/4 of this, and the rest of it would be copied automatically. So that is like really handy for us. Now I'm just adding a couple of edge loops that we are gonna work with later on. Let's add one over here. And for now, I think we can add a couple of them over here as well. Let's see, we can just hold Alt, select this, scale it up a little bit to bring it out. So now after we have like added all the related edge loops, let's just quickly work on these pillars. They're pretty simple to create, so let's just add them first. Add a cylinder, scale it down. And what I will do is I will again use the isolation mode. So just select this cylinder and select both of the reference images, then press slash. And now let's just scale it up accordingly. I think again I will just quickly use the mirror modifier only after we have scaled it like perfectly. Press Ctrl A, apply the scale, press tab, press Ctrl R, and add the edge loop right in the center. While X-ray is enabled, just delete the bottom part like this and just quickly add a mirror modifier on the Z axis, I think. So disable both X and Y and just keep the Z. Pretty simple. And let's add a couple of edge loops now. Just like this. Press 3 and let's select these two like face loops. I think this one is a little bit bigger, I feel like. Let's create something like this. And then we can press 3 and hold Alt and hold Shift and Alt and select these two. And then just press Alt plus E, extrude faces along normal. Shade smooth this, enable auto smooth. And while this is selected, I will scale them down because I want to reduce the size of both of them individually. So go over here and change this to individual origins. and you will see the difference. Earlier, it was being like scaled as a single piece only, but if we select individual origins from here, you can see it scales up much better. Uh, I don't know, it kind of looks weird. I will just undo it all, and let's just increase the size of them a little bit first. Try and match the reference image. Let's see, instead of extruding them out, let's just try scaling them. I will add another edge loop over here. Yeah, I think that's much better. I'm just making some small changes to better fit just the proportions. To scale it along like two axes at once, you can press S, then press Shift plus Z, and then you can see you can scale it along the X and Y planes at once. All right, I think that's pretty good now. So press slash to come out of this and select the pillar, and let's try placing it. So over here is fine, press 3 and move it out over here. So it is a little bit bigger in terms of in the right side view. So press S, then again Shift plus Z, and scale it down just like this. Very easy. And now let's try to create some like cutting space for it in our like main body. We already added all the edge loops. So what we need to do is just select it. Let's just select the cylinder first, hide it, and select our main model or object, and select all these faces over here like this. And then what I will do is, if you directly extrude them inwards, sorry, if you directly extrude them inwards, you will see we have this like weird face issue that appears over here. We don't really want this face to appear over here. So instead, we will go over here in the tool bar menu. You can press T to make this appear, and then hold over the extrude tool and select extrude manifold. When you select this tool, you push this in, you will see it works much better and gives us the desired results. Let's press 3, enable X-ray, and just this time don't use the yellow bar, we have already extruded it once. So just press G, then Y, and move it till here, just like this. And you can see the cutout is created on all four corners. Now press Alt plus H to the bring the pillar back and just try to fit it in. I think this is pretty good. So let's just again select it, add a mirror modifier once again, and this time select the mirror object as this and just copy it on all four axes. And this looks pretty good to me. I will press S, then Shift plus Z, and increase the size of this a little bit on the Z axis, or sorry, on the X and Y at once. And this looks pretty good to me. I'm happy with this. Let's hit save. If you want, you can do like more changes to it, to the pillar. You can like hold Alt, select all these faces. You can press I to insert them, press I once again to insert them individually. And then let's say I press Alt plus E, extrude faces along normal to give it some sort of this shape. But yeah, I will just try and keep it simple. We want, no, I think just this simple look is fine. We can add a bevel modifier to it, enable harden normals, and enable auto smooth. Yeah, just make sure it is not really overlapping with anything. Okay, so it is just a little bit. Yeah, now it is perfect. I will just undo it. So all these things, these are like really according to your preference only. I'm just trying to make it fit a little bit better. I think this is fine. Uh, yeah, it is overlapping a little bit over here. We can move it in the forward direction, but I think it does not matter that much. It looks fine in my opinion. Let's move forward, enable X-ray, and let's see. Select the main object, and now what we can create is first we can press 3 for the right side view. Again, enable X-ray, and just add a couple of more edge loops over here. Let's add one over here, one over here like this, so that we can create all these insets. Let's hit save, and yeah, I think this is pretty much it for this lecture. We'll continue detailing our main piece in the next video. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you in the next one. Hello and welcome guys. So let's continue modeling our object. I will press 1 for the front view, enable X-ray, and let's see. Let's start creating these edges over here. So we can just press 3 for face select. Let's select this face, and I will just make sure quickly to apply the scale of this object, and then you can just press I to insert this like this, then press B to turn the boundary off, and we can insert this till here. Then hold Alt, select this loop, press 3 to bring this face out like this. Let's select it and also add a bevel modifier to this. You will notice that the bevel modifier is not really doing anything right now. So you can open up this geometry section and disable clamp overlap. So now everything will go like a little bit weird because everything is colliding with each other because we disabled clamp overlap. So you can just decrease the amount of this, and yeah, just make sure that there are no like shading issues and none of the geometry is colliding with each other. I think this is pretty good. We can, let's keep it 0.001 for now. Enable harden normals and also enable auto smooth. I will go in the edit mode, press 3, select this face again. I will just press I to insert this a little bit, and then press E to extrude this backwards like this. And we can press 3, select this face and just delete it so that we have something like this. This will be the place that where our like clock will be there. So yeah, we will just create the clock later on. For now, let's just keep it this way only. And yeah, let's move further. I will now select this face. Where is it? Over here. Again, press I to insert this out like this. Let's create another inset for this thing over here, like this. Then just hold Alt, select it, press E to extrude it out. Then I will just select this one also, press E to extrude it a little bit. And yeah, that's pretty good. I will just move this behind a little bit. That's fine for now. Actually, I think what we can do is we can just select this and press 3 and press X and delete the face over here so that we have it empty like this. And the reason for that is, okay, one thing that I just now noticed it, that we are mirroring it on the backside also. So we do not really need these things over here, like things we are creating over here on the backside. So we'll fix that later on. We'll just delete this all from over here and fill out the face normally. So let's just keep it this way only for now. And yeah, the reason I deleted this face from over here is because I intend to create like a glass panel over here that would be like see-through. So that's why I deleted this face. Let's move on to the right side now. Press 3 for the right side view. Press tab, enable X-ray. And again, just select this face over here. Press I to insert this up. And now press E to extrude it out like this. Let's select this face again. Press I and hold Alt. Select this loop. And now press E to extrude it out. And let's create this thing also over here. So this time you can select both of these faces, then press I to insert them like this to create this loop. Now hold Alt, select this loop. Let's create this inset also first, like this. Or I think I will just undo it. And the better way to do this would be, let's just come out of it first. And yeah, I will just select both of these faces. And let's see, I will just press F to make them into a single face. So we don't have all these like edge in between. So just press F to fill them out like this. Now we can create the inset properly and like this. Press 1 for vertices select and just make sure to move apart these vertices, because when the vertices are like too close to each other, sometimes it causes like issues. And yeah, I think this is pretty good. So here also, just press G then Y and move it like this. Yeah. Hold Alt, select this loop. Sorry, press 3 for face select, hold Alt, select this loop, and now just extrude it out. Again, select the inside loop, press E, extrude it out. And yeah, that's pretty good. I will now select this face, press X and delete the faces to have it like open, just like this. And now let's create the top part over here. Or let's see, first press 3 for face select. And we have this thing also over here. So we can select this face, press I. So it is not really fitting perfectly, but that does not matter. We can just insert it out according to us. Or before we create that, let's first create this part over here. So let's see. Hold Alt, press X and dissolve this edge loop for now. Just so we have these things over here. I will move them down. For this, select this loop edge, I mean, and press Control B to bevel it out. G then Z, move it upwards. And I think the reason Control plus V is not working is we first need to apply the mirror modifier. So let's just go ahead and apply the mirror modifier for now. And now when we bevel this, I think the bevel should work. Yeah. Now just move it upwards like this, or we can increase the number of segments in the bevel like this. Obviously, as I said, it does not have to like fit perfectly, but I think it's pretty accurate. And yeah, I'm happy with this. I will select this, press slash. All right, so now I will just quickly fix this issue at the back side of our model. What we want is basically we want to make this flat so that it has like a flat backside. It looks a little difficult, but it is not that difficult. I will just show you how we can do that. So first, what you need to do is whatever you like extruded out of your model, you need to select that. So I will select this part first, hold Alt, select this, hold Shift and Alt, and select this, and then just press X and make sure to delete the vertices from over here. Now you will have this isolated part inside over here. So you can just press L over it and it will select it completely. Then press X and delete all the vertices. And now it is really simple. We just need to fill out this face. So make sure to select this edge, then press F 2 times and it will fill it out to make it like completely flat. So similarly, you can do it over here as well. Just select the areas that you've extruded out, press X and delete the vertices. Press L to select the inside part that is isolated. Press X and delete the vertices. And now again, fill them out like this. And you can see how easily we created like a flat backside. And that is what we wanted. Select this, right click and shade smooth. Make sure to enable auto smooth once again. And yeah, now we have a smooth top side as well. Select both these edges. You can press G 2 times to move them along the edge like this. I just wanted to make it a little bit smoother. Press slash to come out of the isolation mode. And I think we are doing pretty good now. Now, as we don't have the mirror modifier, we need to select both of these faces over here at the same time. We can also use mirror modifier once again, but uh, not much of the modeling part is left. So I think it's fine. We can do it this way as well. So I will just insert it once, hold Alt, select this loop, hold Shift and Alt, press Alt plus E, extrude faces along normal. Maybe we can insert it a little bit more. Now I will just select the face in the middle. Both of them, press I, insert them, then just press E to extrude them. Sorry, you cannot just directly press E because it will be weird. So press Alt plus E, extrude faces along normal. And yeah, that's pretty good. Let's create this part over here as well. So what we need to do is we just need to select all these faces over here. You can also press C to quickly make a selection like this, then hit right click to come out of that mode. Press I to insert this. Let's extrude it inwards. Press I once again. And just then extrude it outwards. Scale it a little bit in. And yeah, that's pretty good. So now what we have to do for our next lecture is, let's just hit save first. So first we have to create this design over here and these designs over here in the next videos. Then we can focus on creating the clock part and a little bit of inside piece that will go in here so that we can like create like something to show off through the glass panels in our like clock. So yeah, this is pretty much it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you in the next one. Hello and welcome guys. So let's continue our modeling in this lecture as well. So what we will be doing now is I will start by creating this little design over here. So what I will do is I will just select this reference image, press slash on my number pad to isolate it. And there is like a couple of different ways you can go around creating this thing. So first I will just quickly show you the very simple way to do this. You can just press shift plus A and first add a, where is it, over here in mesh in single word. So add a single word like this. If you don't see the option of adding a single word over here, when you press shift plus A, you can go over to file, then sorry, in edit preferences, and in the add-on section you can search for extra objects, and you can enable both of them. They are pretty handy. So when you enable them both, you will find a lot of different options in your shift plus A menu, in the curve as well as the mesh options. So yeah, I will just delete this word and let's just add it once again like this. And right now it is at the center of this object, so that's why there are like no issues in creating the mirror modifier. But if by chance your vertice is not added at the center of this, so what you first need to do is, let me show you, let's say if it is over here, if you press tab into this, you can see you can move around the vertice. But if you like come out of the edit mode, now the origin is at a different place and the vertice is at a different place. So make sure you not just move it in the edit mode. So come out of the edit mode and then move it around so that the origin moves as well, and place it roughly at the center of this like this. And then what you can do is just select it. So press tab to go into the edit mode and press A to select it, and when you press E to extrude it out like this, now you can go over here in the modifier section and add a mirror modifier like this. And you will see all your actions would be replicated. And another thing, if you want to like exactly make sure that it is in the center, there is one more thing that you can do. So you can just select this image. So let's say this thing currently, wherever this thing is present, this is the cursor. It will, your new object will get spawned over here. So you can move it around by holding shift and then using your right click. So hold shift and right click and you can move it around. So wherever you see this thing is present, you can add a cube over there. So what if it is like placed over here and you wanted to add it like exactly at the center over here? So you can just select this reference image, press shift plus S, then cursor to select it. And then it will get added over here. Now you can easily add a single word and you will be sure that it is like added in the center of your object. Not just this thing, you can select any of the objects that you want and then just select them and then press shift plus S cursor to select it, and then the object will get added at the center. Alright, so let's just start by selecting the vertice and select the image as well, then press slash. Let's come over here and you will notice that the origin point and the vertice are at different locations because I moved it in the edit mode. So you just go over to object, set origin and origin to geometry. As long as the origin is the center, it is alright. Because if the origin is not correct, the mirror modifier won't work properly. So that's why we have to make sure that the origin is at the right place. Because whenever you like add a mirror modifier, it will work around this origin point only. As you can see, if you enable the Z axis, you can see it gets mirrored around this origin point. So yeah, as I was talking about the easy way to create this, what do we call it? This design. So I'm just pressing E again and again, extrude, to like trace this image out on the reference image, trace this design out, and you will notice that when you come at exactly at the center, these two like overlap each other. So make sure to enable clipping from over here so that when you come at exactly at the center like this, they will just collide with each other and don't move past like each other. They will stop over here in the center, and that works better for us. Now what you need to do is just go over here, let's say, and just move it around. Sorry, press G to move it around a little bit, like till here. Then press E to extrude it out, like create the exact shape as it is in the reference image. Let's do that over here as well. So this method won't be like perfect. It won't look that good in my opinion. Uh, but yeah, it is useful like to use this method. Just trace it out like this, and then we will use like a simple modifier to make it work. Sorry. Let's just join it like this, and then we can select this and select this and then join them to create this sort of shape. So it is roughly accurate. And now the way we can create design out of this is go into modifier section and just simply add a skin modifier. You will see something like this on your screen. So just press tab to go into the edit mode, press A to select everything, then press Ctrl A, and you can scale it down like this. And you can see you will roughly get this design. So let's say if we look at it from this far, you won't see any kind of issues with it. It's pretty good to go, and I think we can use it. But if you look closely, there are like some issues. We can enable smooth shading from over here so that you don't see any of those weird edges. Also enable auto smooth, and yeah. So the main issues that I have with this one is right around the corners, you will see we get this weird kind of shape, which is like caused by this modifier only. There is no really like a fix for this. It gets caused by this modifier. Like you get these weird corners and you cannot really fix it. So yeah, if you are okay with this, you can definitely work with this. It looks all right from far away. Uh, the benefit of using this method is that it is really quick. You can easily create something good within like minutes. You don't have to do too much with this. You can also like adjust the size of individual points. You can select this point, let's say, and press Ctrl A and decrease the size like this if your like design demands it. That's what I'm saying. Also, it has like subtle overlapping going on here and there. It won't be that visible, but yeah, it has some flaws. So the better way, or I would say the long and tedious way to do it, would be to just trace it out completely, and that way it would look like perfectly as you want it to look. But yeah, it would take a little while. So I've just deleted that thing. If you want to use it, you can definitely go for it. I'm just going to delete it. I'm going to add a new single word, and let's move it over here. And similarly, again, we can add a mirror modifier. Press E and start extruding. You will notice that the origin point is over here and the vertice is over here. This time it does not really matter. It does not have to be at the exact location, because as long as the origin is at the center, the mirror would work perfectly. So yeah, there is no issues. Sorry, we don't want to like this time place the vertices in the center of this, because we are going to trace it like properly. So place them over the edges like this. Let's just create this thing as well like this. You take it till here, then press E and make sure to enable clipping, and then just join them together over here. Let's start now. Now you need to just trace out the entire outline of this design. It won't take that long, but yeah, it is definitely relatively longer than the earlier method. Press E, then X to lock it on the X axis, and yeah, we have something like this. And now what I want to do is to create all these inside parts. We cannot like trace them directly. You need to just press A and press F to fill out this face to create the complete face over here. Enable X-ray, press tab to go into the edit mode, and now we will start using the knife tool. So press K for the knife tool and place your point over here first, and then just start tracing it out. It's pretty similar to extruding only. You can just trace it out like this. You can hit right click in between to like stop the tracing, and you can move around your like screen to place it around again perfectly. Then click once again, and then you can again start tracing. Don't worry if you like place some of the points incorrectly, it does not matter because you can uh, obviously edit them later on. These will be like converted to vertices only as soon as you press enter. So make sure to like create your cutout properly first. And now we will just make one over here and then just join it like this. And then you can hit right click as your cutout is now complete. Then just hit enter to make it like permanent, and you will see these are now like made on the object itself and converted into vertices. And if you press 3 now, you can select this face, press X and delete it. And as you can see, you have created the design partially. So very simple. Again, press K and let's create the small cutout over here. One other thing, if you want to like look at all the small little like details or settings of any of the tools, you will see them over here at the bottom. Like for something like knife tool, I don't use much, but if you press Z, you can like lock it in straight lines. So yeah, for all the like intricate details of the tools, you can look over here. But yeah, let's just continue now to create the cutout. Again, join it, hit right click and then press enter. Let's remove this face as well. Next, let's create this one over here. You can hit right click and continue from over here. All right, this is done as well. Hit enter, adjust it a little bit if you want to. I think it's pretty good now. Press 3, select this face, press X and delete it. And now the only part left is to create this thing. So let's see. We can press K over here. Sorry, press K, then click over here. Press Z to lock it in a straight line. Hit right click, move upwards. Again, click over here, then press Z to turn off the like straight line mode. And now let's just continue tracing this curve out. Similarly, again hold press Z and bring it till here. Hit right click, click over here, press Z and again click over here. Hit right click and press enter. Alright, to make sure these two are like exactly in a straight line, what I will do is I will select this, make sure snapping is enabled. Vertex snapping, is selected. You don't have to enable it, you just need to press G then Z and hold control and hover over this vertex, and now they are perfectly in a straight line. Select all these vertices over here and move it a little bit in like this. Alright, that's perfect. Select this face over here, press X and delete it. And yeah, our design has been created. I think this result is a lot better than the last one. Now press slash to come out of the isolation mode. Let's bring it out over here. And to actually see it properly, we first need to add a like plane over here. So let's see how we can do that. I will select this, press Shift A, add a plane, rotate it by 90 degrees. So press R then X, type in 90. So this will be actually like our glass pane. So just scale it according to this window over here, like this, and bring it out. till here. Select the design you just created, also bring it out, press tab, press A to select everything and extrude it like this. Sorry, let's just push it in, and this much is pretty good. Right click, shade smooth, enable auto smooth, and yeah, that's pretty much it. If you want to like later on control the thickness of this thing, what you can do right now is just undo this, sorry, and instead of like extruding it manually, we can just add a modifier to this, solidify modifier. So this way, the benefit of this is we can control it whenever we want, and it is like much simpler to like adding extrude, like it works much better. Again, I will shade smooth this, enable auto smooth. I will set the mode to complex, and yeah, that's basically it. Save, and let's see if there is something else we have to do. I'm pretty happy with how the design turned out. So let's just quickly select this glass pane, duplicate it, press Shift plus D to duplicate, press R then Z, rotate it by 90 degrees once again, and this time bring it out over here. Press 3 for the right side view. Make sure to just scale it accordingly. It's not really visible. Let's just scale it like this. Let's bring this till here. And again, I will select it and add a mirror modifier to this. Obviously, we need to select the mirror object as this so that it gets exactly mirrored over here. And yeah, all the glass panes have been added. Select this one, press 1, press Shift plus D, and paste this one over here. Again, move it back. Let's move this one till here. Sorry. So glass pane would be somewhere around here like this. So yeah, I think this is pretty good. Let's hit save. And now I think this is pretty good for this lecture. In the next lecture also, we will keep on continue these designs over here at the side of the model. These are like pretty similar, but a little bit different than the front one. So yeah, you can try creating them on your own. In the next video, we will be creating them. And yeah, with that, modeling would be pretty much done. I think then the only thing left would be to just create something on the inside of the clock and a little bit of the actual clock over here. We won't be like actually creating the clock. We will add that by the textures only. We just need to add a simple cylinder over here. So yeah, we'll do all that later on. So let's just hit save and we'll continue in the next lecture. Thank you guys for watching. Hello and welcome guys. So let's continue with the modeling. In this lecture, we will be creating these designs on the side. So select your side reference image, press slash to go into the isolation mode. Let's press 3 for the right side view and just press Shift A and add a single word. And I think we are currently in the edit mode. So press tab to come out of it and just move it up over here. Press tab once again, press A to select it and just start extruding it like this. And now you can add a mirror modifier. So this time as it is on the side, we will be going over the Y axis. So turn off the X axis like this. Let's select this vertex, place it up over here. Extrude it towards the top. Enable clipping and just join them. Where is it? Yeah, just join them like this. Select it and start extruding it over here. Press E, then Y, and make them meet in the center. Press A to select everything. Press F to fill out this face. And now enable X-ray. And again, we will be using the knife tool to create these cutouts. So press K. And first, let's create the small one. Alright, so this is done. Press 3 for the face select. Select this face. Press X and delete it. Again, let's press K and start from over here. Click over here, press Z, bring it down till here. Press Z once again, turn it off. Okay, so we didn't really need to press Z over here. Just turn it off and make them join like this. Hit enter and let's just quickly fix this up like this. Let's select this face and this face as well. Press X and delete them both. And yeah, let's create this small space. Hit enter, again delete this face. So I think this process is pretty simple, but it's quite repetitive. That's why it takes long and it is a little bit boring. But yeah, let's just finish this up. Create the straight line. Press Z to turn it off. Bring it over here. Again, press Z. Bring it up till here. Hit enter and let's just quickly fix this up. Select this. Press G then, sorry, G then Z. Hold Control and snap it like this. Just to make sure they are in a straight line. And over here is fine. You select it and delete the faces. Right guys, so now the shape is finished. Let's just add a solidify modifier to this. Come out of isolation mode. Let's bring it out over here. Make sure to press Ctrl A, apply the scale. This is somewhere around here like this. Add another mirror modifier. So this time this mirror modifier will be used to mirror it over here. Select it, select this object as the mirror object. And yeah, as you can see, we have successfully mirrored it. Let's hit save, and the last design to create is over here on the side. This one. So this one is like a small one. Let's just finish this up quickly. Quickly add another single word. Press tab to come out of the edit mode. Move it up over here. First, let's just add a mirror modifier on the y-axis. Select this, move it up over here. Make sure to enable clipping as well. And now just start extruding to trace it out. Press A to select everything, press F to fill out the face, and let's just again press K and start cutting to create all these cutouts. Press X and delete the face. Join them, hit right click, press enter, and just quickly make sure to have them in a straight line like this. Press 3, select this face, press X and delete it. I'm kind of noticing that this design is not really fitting up perfectly with the reference image. Honestly, it does not matter that much. I think it looks all right. As long as it is symmetrical, I think it does not matter. It is a little bit skewed off of the reference image over here, I think. Maybe we can fix it up by bringing these in. Yeah, I think that's much better. Let's just create this last cutout now. Hit enter once again and delete both of these faces. And yeah, our design is pretty much done. Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. Where is it? Over here. Again, bring it out. Make sure to add the solidify modifier and apply the scale. Shade smooth this, enable auto smooth. Make sure to shade smooth this as well. And also just set the solidify mode to complex, because I have seen it to work a little bit better than the simple mode. And I will add another mirror modifier and select the mirror object as this. And yeah, our designs are pretty much done. Let's hit save and look at our model. I think it looks pretty good. We can also add the bevel modifier to them if you want to. You can see it makes the edges a little bit smoother. So if you want, you can go ahead with this. Let's just add it, enable harden normals. If you turn it on and off from over here, you can see the difference it creates. So yeah, I think it makes it look a little bit better. So I will go ahead and add the bevel modifier to all of them. Let's select this one as well and add the bevel modifier. Let's reduce the bevel amount for this one a little bit. And make sure to enable harden normals for all of them. Sometimes your bevel modifier might not work correctly, and the reason for that is uh, sometimes these vertices are like too close to each other, and that's why it does not work properly. So what you can do in those cases, let's say you just turn off clamp overlap and then control the bevel manually. And as you can see, you can do it that way as well. And if you increase it a little bit, you will see like all of the problem areas wherever the issues are being created. So as I said, when the vertices are too close to each other, then they can create all these weird shading issues. Yeah, we are not going to change that. I will just reduce the bevel amount to a very low number so that they don't collide with each other. Let's just disable clamp overlap for all of them and make sure to set the amount to 0.001, just so they all have uniform bevels. Yeah, this one is already set to 0.001. And now I'm pretty happy with this. Let's just hit save. So yeah, I think this is pretty good for this lecture. In the next video, we'll just set up the clock and create something to look over in the inside of the clock through these glass panels. So yeah, thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one. Hello and welcome guys. So let's continue the modeling in this video as well. If you will quickly look over in the reference images folder, you will find this inside reference image that I've added. We will be creating something like this to like add inside our clock, and these are like a couple of clock hands that we will be modeling. The rest of the clock we will be just adding through the textures only, like all the numbers and the stuff. Just the clock hands we will be modeling. All right, so let's start. First, what I want to do is if you will press 3 and enable X-ray, you will see these small things are also added over here. So let's just quickly add them on our own. I will press tab and let's select these two faces over here and over here as well. Press I to insert them like this. Let's insert them once again. And extrude them outwards a little bit. Hold Alt, select this loop. Hold Shift and Alt, select this loop. Extrude them out again like this to create some sort of this shape. And now, if you will remember, we don't really have the mirror modifier. So we might have to do it again over here, but there is like a nice shortcut that we can do without using the mirror modifier as well. I'm noticing that because this is like really close, it is colliding with each other. So what we can do is, I will first insert this once and then insert it once again so that they are not really close to each other. Hold Alt, select this, then hold Alt, select this. So I think it is still there. What you can do is just add one edge loop like this and add one over here as well. Now you can select these two faces and insert them. All right, so now that's pretty good. We don't see any kind of collisions or anything. Yeah, as I was saying, we need to copy them over here also. So without using the mirror modifier, what you can do is just select this, press tab to go into the edit mode, press A to select everything. And if you will go over here in the mesh section, you will find this symmetrize command. So if you select it, you will see that over here we have created these things, but they have been copied over here as well. This is like a manual mirror command, but you need to make sure that the axis is correct. So right now, as this object is placed along the x-axis, and we need to copy it from the minus x to the plus x, because we created things over here on the negative side of the x-axis. We need to copy them over here. So make sure to select the direction as minus x to plus x, because if you select something else, like let's say if you selected plus x to minus x, you will see both of them have disappeared because it is copying from this right side to left side. So there was nothing on the right side, that's why there is nothing on the left side as well. But if you select from minus x to plus x, it will appear back. You can also select any of the axes and it will give you totally like different results according to them. As you can see, if you select from plus y to minus y, this thing has disappeared completely from over here. Both of the like front and the back are completely flat, and setting it to minus y to plus y, you can see both of them have like the same thing appearing. So yeah, just select minus x to plus x and we are good to go. All right, another thing that I noticed was a very small issue. If you look closely over here, you can press the dot on your number pad to focus like this. There is some kind of weird geometry over here. I don't know how these three edges were created. Maybe because of the mirror modifier. That's why we have this small shading issue. So it is really simple to fix this. Press 2 for edge select. And what we basically want to do is we want to collapse them into a single one like this. So how you can do this? Make sure to select vertex snapping from over here. Press G then X to move it around. Hold control and it will exactly snap over here and make them meet all at a single point. Now you will notice that they are like really overlapping with each other. So to fix this overlapping issue, just press A to select everything, press M to merge the vertices and merge them by distance. This will collapse all the all the vertices that are on top of each other into a single one only. And as you can see, now there are no double vertices. All right. So the issue is also fixed. It would be over here also at the back. Do the same thing. Just collapse them like this. Press G then X, hold control and snap them together. Press A, M and by distance. You will see removed 4 vertices. It is also being written over here. So yeah, with this, press 1 for the front view. Press Shift A and let's add a new reference image. And let's add this one. Let's place it over here only. Move it a little bit back. And now you can press slash to go into the isolation mode and let's start creating this. It is fairly easy to create this, I think. Just press Shift A and first add a cylinder. Scale this cylinder down. Enable X-ray and just try to match it with the reference image. Yeah, that's pretty good. Shade smooth this, enable auto smooth. And let's just duplicate this, press X and place it over here. Now to create this cutout would be to press tab to go into the edit mode, and again we will be using the knife tool only. Press K and just click outside and then click through this complete loop and click over here. Hit right click, hit enter. But you will notice there is one issue, that it is only appearing on this side of the half and not on the back side. So let's undo this, and to fix this issue, so again just press K to start with the knife tool, and before you actually create the cut, make sure to enable cut through. So press C. You will see when you press C, this cut through is being toggled, so make sure it's turned on, and now you can create the cut like this. Hit enter and I think that should work. Yeah, you can see that created the complete cut. And delete the bottom vertices now. Hold Alt, select this loop, press F to fill out the face. And again, we can use the mirror modifier and select the mirror object as this. All right, that's perfect. Maybe we need to scale it down a little bit like this. Yeah. Now again, duplicate this, place this over here. Press tab, press K, and make sure cut through is set to on. So press C. And now again, create the same cutout like this. Hit enter. Delete this portion. Hold Alt, select this loop. Press F to fill out the face. And yeah, we basically have this shape. And now what I will do is make it a little bit more interesting. We can select all these top faces and these bottom ones. So hold shift to select them all, press I to insert them. We first make sure to apply the scale and then we can insert them like this. Press Alt T, extrude faces along normal. Add a bevel modifier, all of them. I think to control all of them at once, you can hold Alt. And now if you like move the amount, you can see all three of them are being affected at once. So when you hold Alt, you can like adjust all of the settings at once. Enable harden normals. So now if you see, if I enable harden normals, only this is being enabled because this is the active selection. But if I hold Alt, all of them are being enabled. So yeah, this is a nice little handy command. Next, let's add another cylinder. Place this over here. Scale it up like this. Alright guys, so now instead of using the mirror modifier, the better option would be to just simply use the array modifier because these are like same things being repeated over and over again. So we can simply use the array modifier with this. So what this will do is basically you give this a X offset. We can also give it Y or Z if that is the requirement. But right now we need to set the X offset only because it is in a straight line on the X axis. And now when you increase the count, you will see it will be repeated according to that particular offset what you have set. So I will add it once again. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Set the count to 5 and now just increase the offset according to the reference image. Really simple. Something like 3.5, let's say. I think 3.45 fits the best. And yeah, right click, shade smooth, enable auto smooth. And another thing that we have noticed is that this particular thing, or I mean, this cylinder over here needs to be extended till here. So what you can do is there are two things that you can do. Either you can just simply create another cylinder and scale it down from the bottom because no one would really know. Or another thing that you can do is you cannot really extend this cylinder particularly because this is like a part of the array modifier. So all of them would be like extended together only. So if you want to extend like any one of them or edit any one of them, you have to first apply the array modifier and now you can like edit them individually. But I think just simply adding a new cylinder over here at the bottom is a much better option. No one will really notice as well. All right, so now let's create this portion over here, this cylinder. So add a cylinder, rotate it on the x-axis by 90 degrees, scale it up accordingly, and scale it down on the y-axis. Shade smooth, enable auto smooth, and let's see. Press 3, select this face. Let's insert this a little bit like this. Bring it out, apply the scale first, and then just press Ctrl B to bevel it out. If you want to have like a even more smoother look, because you can see we can kind of notice the circle in the center. What we can do is basically just decrease the scale even more. Now press Ctrl B. Let's decrease it a little more. And yeah, now you can see it is pretty smooth. Overall, scale it down on the y-axis. Add a bevel modifier to this. Enable harden normals and auto smooth. Scale this thing down a little bit as well. Maybe I will give it a bit more thickness. Yeah, so I think this is pretty good. Let's hit save and look at it. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. Okay, maybe I just made a mistake of coming out of the isolation mode. First, let's just select all these things and hide them. And now just select this and bring it out over here in the front. Now you can press Alt plus H to bring everything back. And let's see. To control this a bit better, I will just select it all over here and make sure to press Shift plus S cursor to select it to bring the cursor over here. Press Shift A and add an empty object. So add an empty object and I will parent this to parent all these objects to this empty object so that we can move it around easily. So what you have to do is just select it all and then select this empty object so that this is the active selection. Right click and parent and select object. Now when you select the empty object, you can move it around at once, all of them. So that gives us a little bit more control. Now I will select this and all these items. Just press slash so that I can place them in here easily. Scale it down. Let's remove the glass panes for now. Yeah, I think this is pretty good. Let's select it, increase the scale of this a little bit. Now this is totally up to your preference, how big you want to create this. I just want to make sure that it is roughly in the center. I think it is. Yeah, you can turn off all the overlays from over here to look at it. And I'm pretty happy with how this looks. One thing that I'm noticing is that we can see these things over here. So maybe we can just select them and decrease the size of them a little bit so that they are not really visible. Okay, we cannot decrease it this much. So let's see. Select this, press slash. All right, so the next thing that I will do is it cannot really like fly around in the air this way. So let's just simply let's select this piece, press Shift plus S cursor to select it, and simply add a plane. Scale this plane down and move it up over here, just so they have some kind of covering. Just make sure the plane is not really poking through any of the geometry. Make it small enough so that it only covers like this. Or I think a really nice way to do this would be just select this, press tab, press Ctrl R, and add an edge loop like this. This is like a really nice thing. Press P and separate the selection. This way we will have like a loop that is exactly of this size. You can scale it down a little bit. Press tab, press A to select everything, and press F. This will give you the exact shape that you want. You can set the origin to geometry for this plane, scale it down a little bit, and yeah, it's perfect. Now we don't have any small spaces. All right, perfect. I'm pretty happy with how this looks. Press Alt plus H, bring back the glass panes. Right now they are opaque, but when we do the texturing, it would be like translucent kind of, so that we can see through this thing that we have created inside. And now the last part of the modeling is, let's just quickly hit save. I will turn off this glass pane as well. And let's bring everything back first. I will select this plane, press Shift plus D to duplicate it and move it a little bit behind like this. Just so to create like a base for the clock somewhere around here. Select this plane, press Shift plus S, cursor to selected, and now add another cylinder. And we can kind of do the same thing that we did just now. Rotate it by 90 degrees, and basically this will be our clock that will appear over here. Shade smooth this, enable auto smooth. And again, I kind of want to give it a shape like this, a little bit like smooth in the center. So select this, press tab, make sure to apply the scale first. Press tab, press 3. For face select, insert this face. Around here, I think, press G to move it up. This much, I think this much is pretty good. Just Control B and bevel it out. So increase the scale of this a little bit. Yeah, this is pretty good. Not really sure. Let's just try something out. I'm just looking like how round I want to create this. This looks too much to me because I think clock faces are a little bit flatter. Let's move it back a little bit. I think this is pretty good. You can obviously just select it, press S then Y and make it flat like this. Now press Ctrl A, apply the scale, add a bevel modifier, decrease the bevel amount just so it is like only appearing at the edges only. Harden normals and auto smooth is enabled. Let's move it back. And yeah, that's nice. So we are pretty much done with the modeling. This lecture is pretty long, but I think I want to finish the modeling in this only. So let's just quickly add another image, and that would be our the clock hands. You can choose any one of these. You can even choose anyone on the internet as well. You can find on your own. But let's just go with this one, the G. I will be going with this. So the way we will create them is press Shift A. Let's add a plane, a simple plane. You can place the origin right over here at the center. This is like really handy. We can easily add the mirror modifier. Let's just press M and merge it at the center. We don't really need that many vertices, we just need one. And now add the mirror modifier on the y-axis, disable the x, and again just quickly trace it out. Make sure to enable clipping and join them over here like this. I don't really want the needle to be that long. Let's just go till here, I think, and then just join it like this. Press tab, press A to select everything, press F to fill it out, press Shift A and add a single word this time. Just move it over here. Again, place the origin right over here. Press 1 to select the vertice, move it over here. Simply add another mirror modifier on the y-axis. Let's just begin from here. It's a little bit easier. You don't really have to be too precise with this because, okay, just a second, is the mirror modifier even working? Uh, I don't think the mirror modifier is working with this one. Let's just turn it off, bring it back again. For this, we need to select the Z for some reason. I think we rotated the plane, that's why, and we didn't apply the rotation. So yeah, just select the Z axis and now it is working. Just go till here and just make them join. Enable clipping. Press A, press F to fill it out. And yeah, select them both and move them over here. And it is really easy to place them. Just first select this, and first we can press Shift A and add a cylinder right over here at the center. Rotate it by 90 degrees. Just make it really small. Something like this. First, let's reduce the scale for both of them. And now it is really simple to copy them over here. If you remember, we turned on the copy attributes menu. If you did not, I will again suggest you to do that. Enable the copy attributes menu from over here. Select both of these needles and then select the small thing you just created. Press Ctrl C and copy location. And you will see, because we have placed the origin at the right location for both of the needles, select them both and bring them out. So as I was saying, because the origin point is over here, it can exactly like fit over here without any issues. And yeah, it would be really simple to rotate them as well. You can press R then Y and rotate them around like this. Sorry, R then Y. And now give them a little bit of thickness. So add a solidify modifier to both of them, obviously. Apply the scale for both of them. Let's set the thickness to 0.001. I think that is pretty good for them. Hit smooth them both and enable auto smooth for both of them. All right, let's look at it. And yeah, I think it's pretty good. I'm happy with how this turned out. I will maybe select this, press S then Y to flatten it out a bit more. Apply the scale and move them all backwards. Like this. Select all of these clock pieces and select this plane and move it where you want to place them. I think having them this deep would be pretty good, because we will also have a glass pane in front of them. Obviously, these things can be edited at any point of time. Alright guys, so basically this was it for the modeling section. Press Alt plus H to bring everything back, and the modeling is now done. In the next lecture, what we will be doing is we will apply all the modifiers for this and UV unwrap our model to take it into Substance Painter to start with the texturing process. So thank you guys for watching. I will see you in the next one. Hello and welcome guys. So now we are done with the modeling. So in this lecture, we will be applying all the modifiers and UV unwrapping this to start exporting it to Substance Painter so that we can actually start with the texturing process. So the first thing that I will do is I will just make it a bit more organized. So just quickly select all these reference images, and now you can press M to move them to a new collection. Let's rename this collection to reference images. And now we can just easily turn them all off at once. Next, select all the pieces of our main model and again press M, and let's move this to a new collection as well, hall clock. We can delete this collection. All right, so now we basically have two collections. So before we actually apply all the modifiers, what I want to tell you guys is right now, like we have all these modifiers appear over here. You can select like any of the objects and you can see them over here. So basically what this means is, let's say right now you want to change things like the bevel amount maybe, or maybe the axis of the mirror. You can do all these things, but after you apply all the modifiers you won't be able to make any changes. So basically all the changes to your model would be permanent, and you won't be able to make changes to like the thickness of the solidify modifiers and things like that. So yeah, make sure you're happy with this and then only apply the modifiers. But what I usually do is I will create a copy of this, like a duplicate of this, and not apply the modifiers for that particular copy, so that if things go wrong in the future, I can always come back to that duplicate and use that. So yeah, let's just press A to select everything, press Shift plus D and press X, just move it over here. And basically now both of them are in the same collection only. So press M to move this to a separate collection. Let's rename this to hall clock and apply. So this will have all the modifiers applied in this. So basically you can see now we have two different hall clocks. This one can be like with all the modifiers intact so that we don't change anything. If you want to make any change later on, we can always come back to this. And for this one, we will apply all the modifiers and just start working. All right, before I apply the modifiers, I just right now noticed one thing, that we have kind of like a weird shape over here. If you press 7 for the top view, you can look at it. We kind of scaled it incorrectly, I think. So don't worry, it's easy to fix this. Just select this face and quickly select all these faces over here. And then what I basically want to do is right now you will notice these are like weirdly shaped, not in a straight line. So to make them in a straight line, you can see this is the y-axis. So we basically have to scale them 0 at the y-axis. So press S then Y and then just type in 0 like this and they will all be flat. Similarly, I will do the same thing for this loop as well. Select it all, press S then Y and then type in 0. Yeah, perfect. Let's do the same thing for the backside as well. I don't know like really how this happened, but yeah, these kind of things happen sometimes. We can easily fix this issue. Press S then Y and 0. All right. So yeah, now it's perfect. We can apply the modifiers for this one. There are like multiple different ways to apply the modifiers. You can just select this, go over here, and then apply them one by one. But this is like a long and tedious process. So just select them all. Press A to select them all. Press F3 and search for the command convert to mesh. Over here, just hit enter and automatically all of the modifiers would be applied. You can see they won't be appearing over here. And now everything is fine. We cannot really make, like obviously you would still be able to make changes like moving the vertices and things like that. But yeah, it's better to have all the modifiers. So like it's a rule of thumb. When I apply all the modifiers, I usually won't make any change to the model after that. If I have to like make a change, I will just go back to this thing, make the change over there, and then again create a duplicate of this and then apply the modifiers for that. Also, let's just quickly fix this thing over here as well. You can press C to make quick selections like this and then hit right click, come out of it, press S, Y, then 0. All right. Let's turn this collection off, enable this back again, and quickly just select everything, press Ctrl A and apply the scale. Make sure to always apply the scale before you actually start UV unwrapping because it can mess up the UVs if the scale is not applied. Also, I will just delete this empty object, press Alt plus H, and yeah, let's select any of the model. First, I will add a material to it so that we have like a proper texture set when we export this to Substance Painter. So select any of the object and just add a new material, rename this material to hall clock. Now we just want to like copy this material to all of the objects. So it's very simple. Just select this object first, which has the material added. Press A to select everything, then press Ctrl L and then select link materials. And now you will notice that 22 is written by the side of this material. That means it's being used by 22 different objects. So yeah, now all of the objects have the same material. All right, so into the UV editing tab, press A to select everything, press tab, then press again A to select everything in the edit mode. We can enable display stretch from over here. Press U and just hit Smart UV project. I think that would be an easy way to quickly UV unwrap them. You can play around with the angle limit a little bit. Let's set this to maybe something like 80. And you can give it an island margin of 0.001 so that they are all spaced out a little bit. And with that, we can export this to Substance Painter and see how everything works. Obviously, there might be some issues, so we might have to like go back and forth a little bit, but that's not an issue. We can always do that. One thing that I will do is it might be a little hard to actually texture this thing like this clock in Substance Painter because we have this object in front of it. So what I will do is, for now, let's just press H to hide this and select all of these objects from over here. Or maybe we can just select this thing only. We don't really need to move everything, or do we have to? Let's see. All right, so now what I will do is just select all of these objects over here and press G, then X and press 1, so that later on when I like come back to my model in Blender, when it's time for rendering, I can just press G, X and -1 to bring it exactly back at its position. So press G, X, then 1, and I will also select these three pieces and move them a little bit further ahead. So press G, X, then 1 once again, or we can press G, X, then 0.5. Yeah, that's pretty good. We are just doing it so that it is a little bit easier to texture this clock, because we have to like add numbers and stuff on this. So yeah, that's why I placed it over here. Now you can press Alt plus H to bring everything back. And yeah, for now, let's just export this to Substance Painter. And if any kind of issue arises, we will see to it. All right, so one last thing, sorry, I forgot. Make sure to enable face orientation from over here and quickly look at your model. You will notice that these two planes are showing red color. So that means their normals are flipped. So what you basically need to do is, any of the object, if your object is red colored, you can just select it, press tab, press A to select everything, press shift 10 and then select inside. Basically that will flip the normals. Now we are good to go. If you will hide all these like glasses, you will see it shows as red from the inside of the, what is this, the main model. But we don't have to actually worry about that, as this is like a plane. It does not really have any kind of thickness. That's why we are seeing the red color on the like insides of it. But that won't be an issue for us, because when we will export it to Substance Painter, I will just quickly show that to you. All right, so with this we are done. We can now press A to select everything, go over to File, Export, and select FBX. And now in your exports folder, we can name it as Hall Clock only. Enable selected objects so that only the selected objects get exported. This is just to make sure nothing extra gets exported. And select Mesh from over here, because we only want to export the mesh type. Then hit Export. Also just quickly open up Substance Painter as well. Okay guys, so Substance Painter has opened up. Go to File, hit New to open up a new project dialog box. You can click on this select option and then select the export you just made. So select Hall Clock, and rest of the settings can be changed later on. So I will keep them at default only for now. Just hit OK and wait for it to import. And yeah, right away you can just quickly look around your model and see if there are any like kind of visible issues at first. You can hold shift and right click to move the lighting around in your scene. One thing that you might notice is all these jagged edges. So go over to display, I think, and make sure to enable temporal anti-aliasing. This will solve the jagged edges problem. And the next step to do is, whenever we import anything into Substance Painter, so the first step is to bake the mesh maps, because to use all the features of Substance Painter like smart materials, generators, smart masks, you always have to like bake the mesh maps first. And problems might arise when you bake the mesh maps, like you will be able to locate the issues with your model when you actually bake the mesh maps. So yeah, that is like a nice test to do for your model. If the bake comes out nice, that means we have done pretty much everything correctly. Also, if you don't see any of the windows over here, you can go over to, I think, window menu from over here, and you can enable and disable all the views. You can also like move them around to however you might like. So yeah, I will just keep it over here only. All right, so in your texture set settings menu, click on this bake mesh maps button. You might have a different like dialog box for the bake mesh maps. It might be smaller if you are running a older version of Substance Painter, but that does not matter. The like commands remain pretty much the same. So the only things that we will be changing is setting the output size to 4K to get a nice bake. You can maybe get away with 2K as well if you have like a slower machine, because it will take a little while. So set this to 4K, enable both of these options, apply diffusion and use low poly mesh as high poly, because we only have a single mesh only, we don't really have a high poly mesh. And another thing that I do is set the anti-aliasing to 16x maybe. That is pretty good. And also we will disable the ID maps because we are not using the ID map workflow. So that's basically it. You don't have to do like anymore. All the default settings are pretty good. So now just hit bake selected textures and wait for it to finish. I will resume the video when it's done. Alright guys, so the bake is finished now. I will just return to painting mode. Now you will also notice that the model looks a little bit better as we have like added shadows with ambient occlusion and everything. So you can just again look through the model, and I don't see any kind of issues like right away. So yeah, that's a nice start. So that means we are good to go and we can start with the texturing process. So what I will do now is, before actually starting, press Ctrl plus S to save your Substance Painter file. And in the Substance Painter folder, I will just again save it as Hall Clock only. So yeah, that's pretty much it. In the next video, we will start with the texturing process. So thank you guys for watching. I will see you in the next one. Hello and welcome guys. Now in this lecture, let's start with the texturing of our hall clock. So right away, we will just go into the layers tab. Make sure to delete any of the layers that are already present. There might be some. You can just select them and click delete. Like you can just, if anything is added over here already, you can just select it and hit delete. And what we will do is first, we will be creating like a wood material, that because that will be our main material in our model. So we have to create like a nice looking wood material. All right. So what I will do is I will create a folder so that we can like categorize our materials, and we will rename this to wood, and we can start creating all the layers in over here. So basically what we will do over here is we will keep on adding different layers into this wood folder to like create a nice looking material with all these layering effects. Like we will add the base layer, then over it we will add some damage, just like some edge variations, some color variations and things like that. So first we need to add like a base color or like a base layer to work on. So you can click over here in your shelf, that is the materials, and search for wood. So this is like pre-installed with your Substance Painter only, this wood plane material that will be provided to you with Substance Painter. So we will be using this as our base. So just drag and drop it onto the wood folder. And right away you will notice that it looks really, really bad and it does not look good at all. But don't worry, we will customize it and make it look according to our needs. So the very first thing that we need to do is, obviously we don't want this wood material to appear over here on this clock or on the glass or things like that. So how can we like separate it out? There are like multiple different ways to do it. If you are like already well versed with Substance Painter, you obviously know about masking. So we can like add a black mask, and as soon as we add a black mask, everything disappears, because a black mask means everything is invisible. So in terms of masking, black means invisible and white means visible. So let's say if you start painting with the white color on this, you will notice that this layer is starting to appear because we are currently painting with the white color. You can just select the brush and start painting with white color. So because we are painting on the mask currently, we are painting with white color and this layer is starting to appear. Let's say if we paint with the black color, you will see that it will start to disappear. So basically this is the use of mask. A mask is basically a black and white image that you can see over here that decides what portions of the like layer should be visible and where they should be visible. So wherever there is white color, they would be visible. You can press X to switch between the colors. So X, like it is white color now. So wherever there is white color, they will be visible, and wherever there is black color, they will be invisible. So obviously we are not gonna like paint each and every single part like this to add the wood material. There is like a nice fast way. So I will show you two three different ways. You can first just add a black mask and then select this tool. So yeah, obviously the very first way is to just paint like this. Next is to use this tool over here. So that is the polygon fill tool. So basically with the polygon fill tool, you can select entire faces at once. Even that is like not fast enough. It has like multiple different modes. So this is like half a face, like it will fill according to the triangles in a face. And this mode is like it will fill complete faces. Obviously it is already triangulated, that's why it is filling in a triangulated mode only, because the model is triangulated. But these faces you can see it is filling completely. The third mode is like filling complete meshes at once, like this. As you can see, you can see it will select multiple, sorry, like complete meshes at once. And this is the one that we can use, like we can select all the meshes that we want to add the wood material to. And the last one over here is the UV chunk fill. I rarely use this one because it is kind of weird to understand. So if you will press F1, you will see this will appear over here. Basically, this is the UV islands. So you can press F2 to switch to 3D view, and F1 is for UV view. So basically, the UV chunk fill will fill according to the UV islands that you have created. So yeah, I don't really have like a use case for this, but we have this mode as well. But now I will show you even better way to like separate these out. For this, we will just completely remove the mask, and let's say we have this layer or any of a folder. You can do this with layers as well and folders. So I will just select the complete folder, so I don't have to do it for each and every layer. And you can click over here. This is like a relatively new feature. Basically, this is geometry mask, and it will separate the what do we call the objects according to how you like created them in Blender. It works similar to the mesh mode of this black mask, this mesh mode. It works similar to that, but it is even faster than that. We don't even have to add a mask. We can just click over here, right click and exclude all. So now the wood material is not present over any of them. You can see 0 is written. Now select them, and you can one by one select all the objects that you want to add the wood material to. So this over here, these two things, and these. And yeah, that's basically it. The rest of it would be like glass or other things. Obviously have we have like these things over here in on the inside as well. I don't know if you can see them. These things we will texture them later on, but yeah, make sure to not forget them. All right, so with all that out of the way, we can finally start to texture our or like create our wood material. So I will select the wood plane layer, and let's fix it up a little bit. So the very first thing that I want to do is I want to change the UV projection to triplanar, because triplanar works a bit better. UV is it is like according to all these faces, so we cannot really see any seams right now. But with the UV projection mode, there is a chance you will see, yeah, over here like this. You can see these seams, which are like very prominent and look very weird. As you can see, there will be like some seams present in your model, and they don't really look good. So the first thing to do is to change it to triplanar. As soon as you do it, you can see the seams have totally disappeared, and the model actually looks like a little bit coherent. So yeah, I undo back to UV position to show you the difference. Set this to triplanar, and the next thing to do is I don't really like the color of this. Also, I will press F2 to come back to 3D view. And yeah, as I was saying, I don't really like the color of this. Let's make it a little bit bigger, the properties section. And if you will come over here, you can adjust the wood color, the darkness and things like that. So I will be going for a pretty dark color. So around 0.75, I think is pretty good. Something like this. Over here, you will notice that there are like tons of wood related settings that you can do to create your very own material. We will not go over all of them, but yeah, you can just play around with them and you will automatically understand them. You can also like select presets from over here, which is like a nice little addition, but I will be creating my own only. So we have this, we change the color, and let's see. The next thing is, as you can see, it is currently the wood, what do we call them? The veins or whatever this is, it is running along this way. So I will change the rotation to 90 degrees so that it is like this. I think this feels a bit better in my opinion than this. Obviously, we can change it whenever we want, and it is completely based on your preference as well, how you want to do things. Let's try it. Let's try putting it at a 90-degree rotation. Next thing, let's see. We can adjust these veins color. So basically, these are the wood veins that are appearing over here. So this is the color variation. So we like a little bit of color variation. We can put this at 1, and veins density can also be at 1. Can also increase the Vein's color fade, because right now, as you can see, they are like really prominent. Let's increase them so that it like fades away a little bit. And right now you will notice that the texture is looking like really like low resolution. You can change the texture settings from over here because it is currently set to just 1K. So if you increase it to 2K, you will notice that the quality has shot up by a lot and it looks much better. If you increase it to 4K, it will look like really crisp, but your Substance Painter might get a bit laggy. Alright, so this way we can actually see all the details and everything. And when you make changes, you will notice that Substance Painter takes a little while to make the changes, but yeah, it looks much better. So you can see with the fade set to 0, the veins look like really like prominent in our wood, and I don't want that, so I will set the fade to 1 as well. Maybe we can decrease the density to 0.9 and variation to 0.9 as well. Next thing to do is you can see these spots over here, very huge spots. I don't think they are looking that good in our wood. So basically, this is the knot setting. And these are this is the setting that controls these knots. So I will just set this to 0 so that they totally disappear. All right, much better. Next, you can see this tiling option from over here. You can adjust the tiling as well. So let's set this to a little bit larger number, something like 5 maybe. I, and yeah, now I think the wood looks pretty good. Let's try setting back the rotation to 0. Uh, I don't know. Even this looks pretty good, but over here the pillars look really weird to me. I think the pillars look much better this way. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead with this only. Let's set the tiling to something like 4. Yeah, something like this. You can just play around with the rest of the sliders as well to see what they give you. And yeah, with this we have like a nice base to work on with our wood. It still does not look that good because it looks really flat, but yeah, it is definitely something nice to work with. So the next thing to do is we will be adding some dust with our what do we say, the model. So just add another fill layer over here, and this time you can select the base color. So we have all these different channels with our fill layer, like the color and the metallicness. If you set this to 1, it will be metallic roughness. If you set this to 0, it will be really reflective. And set roughness to 1, it won't like reflect any light. That's why. So I will set the settings back to default only for now, and also decrease the texture set size to 2K so that everything is a little bit more responsive as well. You will notice that our wood material has disappeared because now we have like a fill layer on top of it. So Substance Painter works on basically a layering system like Photoshop. So because the fill layer is on top of the wood layer, that's why it is appearing. But don't worry, we'll just mask it out to make it appear better. All right. So the base color, obviously we will go for something dark because we are creating a dust layer, something like this. Maybe we can increase the roughness to 0.45 so that it is a little bit rougher compared to the wood. And yeah, now we can add, first let's rename this to dust, and let's add a black mask. And this time we will be using a fill layer along with a black mask to control the black mask basically. So click over here and add a fill layer. And now in your fill layer section, so sorry, I mean the texture section, you can search for like various different grunge maps. You can see we have all these different grunge maps, and when you drag and drop any of the grunge map onto the fill layer, it automatically masks the layer out as dust. You can see now this texture is basically controlling the dust layer. You can change things like the color and everything at any point you like. So basically this is like the power of masking. You can control the balance, contrast, anything you want. You can try out different fill layers you want to and just see whichever one fits you best. But the one that I have decided on, I have decided on like how I want the texture to look like. So I will be going with directional noise 1, because this will give us a nice feel of the wood and the way the dust runs along it. You can see it kind of looks like the wood veins only. So yeah, I will be going with this, and obviously first set this to triplanar because we can see the seams over here in the dust as well. So set this to triplanar. Yeah, much better, much better. And then we can adjust the things like tiling. So again, this is totally up to you how you want to set this. I think something like this is pretty good. And now the next thing to do is we can adjust the things like the balance and the contrast. Basically, if you increase the balance, the amount of effect would increase. Setting it to 1 is completely black, that is this layer, and setting it to 0 will be the layer below it. That means this layer has totally disappeared. So we can set the balance to something like zero point 0.6, and contrast will basically, as you can see right now, the effect is kind of smudgy. If you increase the contrast, it will become sharper like this. So obviously with dust, we do want it to look a little bit smudgy. So we can set this to zero point 0.2 like this. All right, so now you might be wondering that this dust is a little bit too much for our wood. So obviously we can control it from over here through the opacity. So that because obviously we are not going to make our wood look like this because this is too much. So decrease the opacity. So let's try 80 first. Let's increase it even more, 60. I think 60 feels a lot better. Maybe I will go with 50 only. Obviously we can increase it later on. Yeah, I will create another dust layer. So just copy this one and paste it and drag this one out outside of the wood material or the wood folder. The reason I'm doing this is the reason I like placed it outside the wood folder is because I want this dust layer to affect every single object in our like model. So that's why I placed it outside the folder. So now select this mask and remove it from over here. And for this one, we will be using a smart mask. So like a smart material, we also have a smart mask for dust. I will go with dust occlusion very simply. This one works pretty good. Right away, I don't think you will notice the changes with this mask, but you can see it will add like a dust in all these like corners and crevices of your model where dust should be appearing. So you can select the generator and you can increase the dirt level and you will see it effects. As you keep on increasing it, your model will look like overall dirty. But obviously, we don't want to make it look that dirty. So maybe setting it to like default values is fine for now. And let's return back to our wood. All right, so we have added the base layer, we have added the dust layer onto it, and then now we can add a color variation layer to have like a bit variation with the color. We name this to color variation. All right, so now we need to choose a color. Basically, we will be going for something like a woodish color only. Uh, the one we have over here, like this color, but a little bit lighter than that. So I've already decided on a color. Obviously, you can play around with it and you can choose with whichever color you want. If you want to use mine, you can just directly copy paste this code that I'm using. I'm gonna just copy it from over here and paste it onto my Substance Painter over here. The hex code, you can just copy it if you want to use the exact values. I will be going with something like this. And now again, let's add a black mask. And this time what we are going to use is we are going to use another fill layer. And this time I will be going with a directional noise only, but let's select the directional noise too so that we have a bit of variation. Again, add a triplanar projection, and you can see with that added, the color gets a lot lighter than earlier. That looks better, I think. Again, let's increase the tiling to 2. Yeah, and then we can maybe increase the contrast a little bit, because right now I think the effect is too much. So if you increase the contrast, you can see now you can clearly notice that like color variation changes. We obviously don't want to make it that apparent. That's why we need to keep the contrast at a low number. So 0.3 is fine. You can see this way can make a difference between the different colors of the wood. Also, maybe we can set the rotation like this. Let's try changing the dust as well to 90-degree rotation and see how that works out. No, I think it looked better earlier. I think the color variation works better with the 90-degree rotation, but the dust was fine with the earlier effect only, like with these settings only. Obviously, as I'm saying again and again, these are like totally up to your preferences, how you want to make these changes. So yeah, I think now I'm pretty happy with this. Let's add another layer, and this will be like our main layer that will add all the value to our wood material in my opinion. This will be the edge sharpen layer. So basically we will be adding like a goldish yellowish color to it to give like a nice look on the edges onto our wood. So again, I will be just copy pasting a color. You can choose that if you want to from over here. So something like this color. Also, one thing that I forgot is we can maybe tone down the color variation as well so that it is not that much in our faces. I think we can increase it a little bit to maybe something like 75. And yeah, let's come back to the edge sharpen layer and let's see. We have this color, and again we can add a black mask to this. And this time I'm simply going to use a smart material. We have a lot of different edges related smart material which will give you a nice result. So let's try this edge rust. So something like this only, but definitely not this one. Then we have this edges blur. Obviously you can select the mask editor from here and play around with the balance to control the effect, like change all these settings. This one also is not that good. The one that I will be using is edges scratched, this one. So right away this looks a bit too much, but let's adjust the settings and fix it up a little bit. So I will decrease the wear level to zero point 0.6, and then I will make a use triplanar true, because you can again see the seam. You can kind of still see it. Don't worry, we still have a fix for this. We can fix it just in a while. So this way it looks a little bit better. Let's keep on making some changes. We can increase the contrast maybe to zero point 0.1. And another thing that I will be doing is I will decreasing the curvature weight to overall tone down the effect a little bit more. This, as you can see, adds a lot of value to our wood material. I think it makes it look a lot better. The last thing to do is obviously to turn down the opacity a little bit. We don't want this that much, so something like, let's try 50. So I think that's a little bit too less. So let's try 70. Yeah, that feels pretty good to me. And as I was saying, to fix this a little bit seam that we have going on over here, what you can do is you can also make changes to like these existing masks by just adding a paint layer. And now we can treat it like a simple mask. As you can see, currently because I'm painting with white, this layer is appearing. But if I paint with black, we can easily remove this, the seam. But this way it will look like really weird if I directly remove the seam this way. So a better way to do this is just select a brush, and maybe we can select this dots brush because it is kind of similar to the effect that is going on over here. Select the black color and just remove it bit by bit. Okay, I don't think it is working, but does not work that well. It will take a while. So let's choose different brush. Let's try dirt 3. And I hope you know these shortcuts. These are like pretty basic. You can hold control, use your right click, hold them both, and move left and right to increase the size, and move up and down to increase or decrease the hardness. So I will turn down the size and just remove the seam. You can press X in between to add a little bit of effect so that it does not look weird. Just try to tone down this seam a little bit. And as you can see, that feels a lot more natural. Maybe we'll remove it from over here also a little bit so that it feels kind of similar in a sense. And yeah, now I'm pretty happy with how the material is turning out. You can see when you turn off the edge sharpen, the material looks pretty bad to me, and this way I think it looks a lot better. All right, let's see what we can add next. So we can add a couple more things, like maybe we can add a bit more scratches. So again, add a fill layer. I will just quickly copy paste the color. Again, it will be like a similar yellowish color only, but this time a bit darker. Add a black mask. Rename this to scratches, and add a fill layer. So in Substance Painter, we have like a lot of scratches textures already present. So use this grunt scratch is rough, and this is like a really nice material. You can see scratches are appearing on your model, but they are like too large. So let's start fixing them up one by one. First, set this to triplanar. Then we can come down over here and you can increase the scratch tiling, and you will see it will decrease the size of them. So just set this to 6. And next thing to do is, let's see. We also have this scratch masking. So basically, if you set this to 1, it will randomly remove some scratches from here and there. So we can set this to 1 because we obviously don't want the like scratches to be that much. We can maybe increase the balance a little bit because we are obviously going to tone down the opacity to something like again 50 so that they are really light. We can come back to this edges sharpen material, and maybe we can decrease the grunge amount a little bit. As you can see, if you decrease the grunge amount, these things that are present over here will reduce. So if you completely set it to 0, it does look a little bit weird. Maybe we can set it to 0.17 or maybe 0.15. Yeah, that's fine, I guess. So the scratches, I think, yeah, they are pretty good. You can adjust things now according to you only, how you want to adjust all these things like the width and the things like that. But the default seems pretty good to me. We also have these spots, small spots, and let's see. We can add like 1 or 2 more layers, and then we will be pretty much done with the wood material. So let's hit save while we are at it, and again add another layer. This will be a little bit of damage layer to add like overall a little bit more color variation, basically nothing much. I will just again copy paste the color. Let's increase the roughness value of this to 0.5, just so we have a bit of variation in the roughness as well. Because we will, the last layer we will be adding is a roughness variation layer, and I will show you it adds like a lot of value to the material. Alright guys, so now again time to add a black mask, and this time I will be again using a smart mask. So you can now go through them, try whichever one you like. You can see this dirt smart mask. You can add like this dirt or damage type effect. You can just turn them on and off and try out different ones, whichever one you like. There are honestly lots to choose from. As you can see, I'm just dragging and dropping them, and all of them do give you a little bit of different look. But this one is too much. This one also looks pretty good. You might have to like work around with some of the masks, like you need to add like a paint layer and then try editing it on your own. Like if you want to remove some of the areas, or if you want to add like a bit more. So yeah, definitely you can do those things. Let's remove these two layers. And the one that I will be using is which one? I think this one, Dust Dirty. I tried out a couple of different ones and I was feeling the most this one. Select this. You can see you can increase or decrease the mask. You can also like visualize the mask from going over here, and you can see you can play around with these settings. And as I said, wherever there is white, the material would appear over there, and wherever there is black, as you can see over these areas, the material would not appear. So that is the basic concept of masks. Let's increase this to zero point 0.6, and don't want to do too much. I think I'm pretty happy with how this one looks. Obviously, this is making everything look like a little too dirty. So let's tone it down back to 30 as well. And yeah, as you can see, maybe increase this to 40. All right, now I'm pretty happy with my wood. The last layer to add is the roughness variation layer. So let's rename this. Basically, roughness variation, how this will work is you can disable all these like channels. As you can see, these are like different channels that can be enabled and disabled from over here. So we will only keep the roughness channel enabled because we only need that. I will also show you a quick shortcut. You can hold Alt and click on that channel that you want to keep, and rest of them would be disabled on your own. So you can hold Alt and click on rough, and you will see now the whole roughness is being controlled by this layer. So as you can see, now the wood is like really shiny, and now it is not really reflecting any light. So the decision is totally up to you. You can also make it look a little bit shiny if you want. That's totally up to you. But with the help of this layer, we are going to make it uh, have a bit of variation with the roughness. So obviously we will add another black mask and a fill layer. And this time you can look through any of the cool looking grunge maps and search for grunge and just drag and drop them, and you will right away notice the, again, it's not a very huge difference, but it is like really subtle one. So I don't know if you can see over here, if you move the light, you can see these roughness variations. If you turn off this layer, we didn't really have that much. We did have some because we gave like all the different layers different roughness values. Like this one has 0.45, then we have 0.3, 0.3. This one has zero point 0.5. You can switch them up a little bit if you want to. Like maybe we can set this to 0.4. and this one can be like lesser, 0.25, and as you can see, it will add a lot of value to your material. So again, select the mask. So currently we drag and drop the crunch cobweb. So as I said, you can just try out various ones of them, to which one, like whichever one you think fits the best. Make sure to change it to triplanar because I think that looks pretty good. You can also play around with things like tiling to make the effect seem more prominent. So let's see which one do I want to use. Let's try this one. You cannot really see it on the front over here. Yeah, we can see it a little bit. 0.25 is fine for now. Obviously, I don't want it to cover like too much of the space. I will keep the balance to a low number only, like this. And I think that's pretty good. I'm happy with this. Let's just hit save. And with this, we are pretty much done with the what is this? The wood material. In the next videos, we will be setting up the other different materials of the like the model. We will be creating the clock. We will add the iron material on the insides, and also we will be setting up the glass material. So yeah, already this is like a pretty long lecture. So thank you guys for watching. I will see you in the next one. Hello and welcome guys. So let's continue texturing our hall clock. So now what I will do is let's first set up the glass material, just the basic glass material, so that we can actually see through the model and see how it looks. So first add a folder and let's rename this to glass. And now I will simply add a fill layer to this, and you can change the color to anything for now. Let's set this to red just so we know it is this layer. Click over here, right click and exclude all, and just make sure to select all the objects that you want to add the glass to. So yeah, everything is selected now. All right. So the way we can create things like that are transparent or translucent is we need to add the opacity channel over here in our properties. You can see there are 5 channels currently. The color, that is the base color, metallic, roughness, normal, and height. We don't really have a opacity channel because for that we need to do a little bit of things in Substance Painter. So first you can go over here in the shader settings, and you will see over here it is currently set to ASM metal rough, and you can just click over here and hover over this one. So we need to select this one, PBR metal rough with alpha blending. And as you can see in the thumbnail as well, you will see this transparency mode over here. So basically this has the opacity channel, that is the alpha blending. So just click over here and now it is selected. So now we have changed the shader. So we can go over to texture set settings and actually add a new channel over here. So the new channel would be of opacity. So as soon as you do that, you will see opacity has started to appear over here. Let's rename this layer to base and set the color back like this. All right, so now to create the glass material, we need to enable the opacity channel like this. And when you turn this down, you will see as you slowly turn it down to 0, now it is completely transparent. And as you set it like a value between 0 and 1, it will be like kind of translucent. So yeah, basically this is the way we will create our glass material. So let's set the opacity to something like 0.4. Right now it looks really weird, but the way we can fix this is to make it look more like a glass is select the base color and make it darker. We don't have to make it completely black because I think that way it looks like really hollow. So we can set this to something like maybe zero point 0.2, I think. uh, this value over here, so 0.2. And the last thing to do is just set the roughness to something like 0, because as you know, in real world glass is like really reflective. So this way we have like kind of made it look like a real world glass only, because technically it is not really glass. We are kind of making it look like glass and trying to simulate it, but it won't show like exact properties of the glass. But yeah, this is the best we can do in Substance Painter. Maybe let's make it a little bit more darker, 0.18. Yeah, I think this is pretty good. So now we can actually see through the glass, and we can see our things that we created inside. All right, so for now, let's keep the glass material this way only. And next we can create another folder, and this will be our iron folder. So one thing I'm feeling like is it is like kind of difficult to texture things over here that are inside, because we will be also creating some things over here over on this panel that is like inside this, because obviously we don't want it to be this grayish color or even the color of the wood. I want to give it like a gold color material over here. So we can quickly just go back to Blender, and I will show you. It will be like a nice little learning thing as well, how we can like update our model later on at a later on stage. So I will just select all the glass panels, and I will again press G then X and type in -1 to move them over here on the side. Let's type in GX -2 so that they are a little bit further away. This way we can easily work with these and with this thing as well, this plane that we created, because I want to add a gold material to this. All right, so now that we have done this, again just select it all. So press A to select everything, hit save, go to file, export, select FBX, and now make sure to change the name of this so that we don't have the same name. We can make this as updated, selected objects, mesh, and hit export. So now we don't need to do anything. Come back to Substance Painter, and it is really easy to update the project. Just go over to edit, project configuration, and again select the file over here. Okay, where did I actually export it? Sorry, I will just quickly go back, export it once again, select FBX. So actually I exported this in the Blender files folder. Let's come back, and in the exports folder, hit export once again. I will delete that file later on. So yeah, now hit select and select the hall clock updated. You don't need to do anything, rest everything is fine. Hit OK, just wait for it, and you will see now the glass is appearing over here. You will notice that it has the remains of like these models from over here. So to fix that, again it's very simple. Just go back to texture set settings, hit bake mesh maps, and just rebake them once again. And now once you rebake them, everything would be fixed. So let's just quickly rebake them. All right, guys. So the mesh maps have been rebaked. Return to painting mode, and you will see everything has returned back to normal. And even these things look better with the dust, because earlier they were totally enclosed off because of the glass. That's why they were appearing very dark. But now they are appearing fine because the glass has moved this way. So I think that worked out for the best. And this way we can also easily work with them without any problems. All right, so let's start working on the iron material. Again, add a fill layer, and to create the iron material, the color is fine at default only. This color is fine. Just set the metallic value to 1, and you can see already it looks like a metal. And we can maybe make it a little bit less rough, so make it shiny. So let's just set this to 0.2. Click over here, right click, exclude all, and select this, and these things. Yeah, pretty good. Let's rename this to base, and also add the material for this thing over here as well. So for this, I will be directly using a smart material. So click over here and search for gold damaged. This one, again drag and drop it. And now again, we can just click over here on the geometry mask, right click, exclude all, and just select this plane so that the material only appears over here. And you can see the color fits really nicely with the model. Obviously, I want to tone down on the dust as well because right now it is too much. So as you can see, if you disable the dirt layer, it totally disappears. I do want to keep it a little bit though. So just tone down the opacity to maybe 50. Yeah, that's nice. Maybe a little bit more, so 35. And I will remove this thing that is the grainy texture. You can just turn the layers on and off to see which one is affecting. So yeah, these two layers, we can just turn them off. And this way, I think it looks really good. All right, rest everything is fine. All right, I will move back to the iron material once again. And I will show you one thing that we can just select the base layer and from over here add a filter to this. So we can use the filter to enhance the look of this material even more. So if you click over here, there will be like various different matte finish filters. So these all these filters will give your like metal a different type of finish. You can hover over them and see what they look like. Like this is the brushed linear look. As you can see, it will appear something like this. You can do changes to it on your own, like adjusting the length, the intensity of it, make it more or make it less. You can remove the filter and try something else. Like this filter is something else. It is the matte finished galvanized. Then we have all these different filters. You get my point. The one that I will be using is this one, matte finish rough. And this gives it a nice little rough look. As you can see, it gives it a roughness variation. So let's adjust it a little bit. I will increase the scale grunge to 16 so that it's really small. Like the grunge is small. This way it is like really huge. So 16 is pretty good. And obviously I don't want it to be this much. So I will just decrease the brushing intensity to 0.2. So now as you can see, it has add like a subtle effect of these roughness variations over here. Also, I will just select this dust layer and move it to the top. You will notice that as soon as you move this to the top, it will start to affect your all the layers that are below it. So it will affect this gold damage layer, then the iron layer. So maybe I won't keep it above the iron layer because I don't want it to look this way because it is really taking away from all the shiny look that it had. So move the dust below the glass, sorry, below the iron layer so that it does not affect the iron as well as the gold damaged. So yeah, you need to make sure about this like order of the layers of the folder. So for the iron material, what we can do is basically we can create a separate dust layer for this that can only stay in this folder so that it only affects the iron material only. So I will just select this dust layer, copy it and paste it over here in the iron folder. And the main reason this dust layer looks like really weird with the iron material is because this base layer has a metallic value of 1 and this dust layer has a metallic value of 0. So if you set the dust metallic value to 1 as well, you will see it looks much better compared to the earlier one. And we can also reduce the value of the roughness to maybe something like 0.3 so that it better matches with the overall like the roughness of the iron material, and this way it gives it a nice dark feel without like looking really weird. This looks much better in my opinion. We'll add another layer in the iron material, so just select the base layer only, copy and paste it, and this will be our edges layer. So I will just brighten up the edges, so make them completely white like this. And let's just use a separate smart mask. Again, we will be going with the edges smart mask only, so something like this. And yeah, as you can see, this will make it pop up a little bit more. I will reduce the wear level a little bit because I don't want this effect to be too much. And also I will reduce the opacity to maybe something like 50. Let's select the color back again and make it a little bit darker. We'll select the dust, maybe increase the roughness a little bit. I'm just trying to tweak around the settings. All right. I think this is pretty good. We can obviously like create all the things, render them out in Blender and see how they look like. And then we can make a couple of changes according to that. So this way, I think the iron material looks pretty good to me. So let's just hit save. And one more thing that I will show you is how we can like improve the colors a little bit of Substance Painter, because I think the default color space looks a little bit flat. It's fine, but if you want to improve it, just so your project looks a little bit better in Substance Painter, you can go over here and scroll down and enable activate post effects, enable tone mapping, and select log from over here. It will make it look a little bit darker. And when you scroll down even more, again enable activate color profile. Now it will be even more darker. So just select the profile from over here, ACES UV4, and you can see automatically now your colors look a lot better. And yeah, if you don't have this ACES UV4 log file, it does not matter. The earlier colors also look fine and you can definitely work with them. But yeah, this is definitely a little bit better to look at. I will decrease the metallic value a little bit to 0.9 maybe, and increase the roughness to 0.25. I'm just trying to tweak it around a little bit because I was feeling like it was looking a little bit too shiny. I think this is pretty good. And yeah, for now, I will keep it this way only. And we can edit it later on if we feel like it does not look too good. All right, let's hit save. And basically, I think this is pretty good for this lecture. We'll continue texturing the clock model in next one. Basically, the only things I think that are left for us to do is to set up the textures for the actual clock, these two parts, and to make the glass material look a little bit better. Right now, it looks like a glass, but obviously we have to add a little bit of damage and the other things as we did with the wood and the iron material. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I will see you in the next one. Hello and welcome guys. So again in this lecture as well, let's continue texturing our model. In this video, I will be focusing on the clock part. So again, let's create a new folder, rename this to clock. And let's start by adding a new fill layer under here, rename this to base layer. And I will right click over the geometry mask, exclude everything and just select this piece. So for the color of this, basically I will be giving it like a light yellowish beige kind of color. So you can copy the hex code if you want to, this kind of color. And I will add now another variation layer. So add a fill layer. Let's rename this to variation. Color variation, I mean. And for this, basically, I will be going with like a dark yellow type of color. So again, just copy the hex code, paste it over here, and yeah, select it. Let's add a black mask to mask it out and add a fill layer. Now in the texture section, search for a texture map called clouds, and I will be basically using this clouds too. So drag and drop it over here. And right away, we cannot really see any changes. So let's enable the mask from over here. So as you can see, it is like really faint. So first let's increase the tiling, something like this. And then what we can do is we can adjust the balance and the contrast so that it is a little bit sharper. Now if we come back to the material, so just press M to come back to the material. And you can see over here, it is appearing like this, the color variation. So let's select it once again and I will decrease the balance because obviously I don't want the effect to be too much. As you can see, if you set this to 0, it is completely the base color, and as you keep increasing it, the variation starts to come in. So set this to 0.25, I think, and the variation and the contrast can be a little bit more like 0.35, as you can see. To round it off, I will set the tiling to 15. Alright, so now let's add a dust layer to it as well. Again, create a new fill layer, rename this to dust. Give it a dark color. And again, I will be adding a black mask. Let's use a smart mask. I will be going with this one only, dust occlusion. So just drag and drop it over here. Select the dirt generator and increase the level. So let's see. We can maybe increase the grunge amount and reduce this. So basically increasing the grunge will increase the dirt. Yeah, I think something like this is pretty good. And now we can just tone down the opacity. Something like this. And now, right now it looks like kind of weird, but when we will add the numbers, I think it would look pretty good. So to add the numbers, basically, if you will go in the resources folder, open up the textures in the alpha section. I have added these two clock alphas that we can use to simply add the numbers. So I have added two of them. You can definitely find more on Google and create some of your own if you want to. I will be using this one, the second one. Let's just drag and drop both of them into the shelf and you will see this pop-up appear. So make sure to select them both as alphas. And now we need to select where we want to import our resources. So if we select current session, basically they would only be imported to this particular session only. And if you close Substance Painter, they won't like appear back. If you select the project, then they would only be imported to your this particular project only. If you create any new project, you won't find these alphas in your shelf. And the last one is the library. Basically, they would get imported permanently into your shelf so that you can use them for any of the projects you like. So let's just select for this particular project only, hit import, and you can see they have appeared over here. All right. So to add them onto here like a sticker, basically what we can do is let's create a new paint layer this time, or we can create a new fill layer only. Let's just create a new fill layer and add a black mask again. Let's set the color to obviously black for now. And this can be named as numbers. All right. So the way we can add this thing over here is if you notice, you can paint with the brush onto your like model very easily because the mask has been added and you're currently painting with white. Okay, let me just change it to something else like a red color so that it is not confusing. So yeah, when we paint with white, you can see this red color is appearing because the red is the actual layer of the color and we are painting with white on our mask. So that's why this red color is appearing. If you paint with black, then this red color would start to disappear. So now basically what we can do is we can double click on this alpha and you will see it has been equipped in your brush and you can easily paint with this. Sorry, first set it to white and now you can easily paint with this onto your model. Perfect. So let's just undo it and I will show you the perfect way we can add this like sticker exactly onto the like this thing. First I will remove this mask so that there are no old strokes present and add a new clear black mask. Make sure to set orthographic view from over here because you will notice in the perspective view things can get a little bit skewed as it is a 3D view and when you like stamp it around it can get a little bit weird from the edges and it is not like perfect. But when you select the orthographic view and now let's say you hold alt and shift and then use your left click to exactly snap it like this in the front, you can see it is perfectly straight at 90-degree angles. and you can easily stamp your like alpha onto the model. So now I will set the color back to black like this and select the brush once again. Make sure this brush is selected and you have selected the mask. Double click on the alpha and you can hold control and use your right click move it left and right, and that will increase the scale or decrease the scale of the brush. So make sure to make it fit perfectly. What I do basically is I will look at this dotted line that is at the complete outside of the circle and make it match with my circle and then just stamp it like this. All right, I think that's pretty good. Basically, if we increase it to 4K, it is kind of blurry right now, but when I increase this to 4K, it would look pretty sharp and I think it would look really good. So as you can see, now with that added, you can see that our dust and color variation have started to look really good. If we just kept it with the base color, you can see it looks really flat, but with the added color variation and the dust, it looks really nice. What I will do is I will move it at the bottom, just above the base. Okay, so it is looking weird because it is getting clouded by our like a color variation and dust. Like that is also a nice effect if you want to have it like the clock is so old that the numbers have worn off. But yeah, I will just keep it at top only because I don't want that. All right. Now we can remove the alpha from over here so that we have our old brush back, or we can just go to the brushes section and select the basic hard brush from over here, and that will give us back the normal brush that we had earlier. I will decrease the dust value to 25 and also, okay, maybe to 30, and decrease the color variation to something like 70. Yeah. And also right now they all have like same roughness values. That's why it's looking really flat. So let's switch up the roughness values to give them a different look. For the dust layer, we can maybe increase it to zero point 0.4. You can see as soon as we did that, it is looking a little bit different. The color variation layer can be increased to maybe zero point 0.6. And for the last one, I will decrease it to maybe 0.15. And this way you will notice that we have a roughness variation going on. That's pretty good. Let's see. I will decrease it to zero point 0.5 maybe. Yeah, that's good. And for these like the clock hands, we can also add the same mask only that we used for the numbers. So the way we can do that is very simple. We don't have to like paint them or anything like that. We can just select this tool over here, the polygon fill that we used earlier. Select the mesh and then just click over here. Okay, so yeah, I was wondering why this was not working earlier as well. And that is because we have completely like enclosed this in a folder, and the folder has the geometry mask set up for this thing only. So you can just select these pieces as well. And then it will start to appear. You can click this again and just fill them out properly. Just like this. And now if you zoom in onto your clock hands, you might notice a small issue. You might or might not have this, but let me just show you how you can fix this. You can see this little bit of color bleeding out onto your like clock hands. So the way we can fix this is we need to go back to Blender once again, and we need to adjust the UV islands for this clock or the clock hand specifically. So just go to the UV editing tab and select the clock hands, press tab and press A to select everything, press U and Smart UV project. Hit OK. And basically what we want to do is we want to increase the scale of them. So earlier they were like really small, but now this is like really huge, but we can keep the scale of them to around this much, I think. And then you can just select everything. So press A to select everything, press tab, and you will notice that these are like getting overlapped. So just press A to select everything once again, then go over here in the UV options and select pack islands. As soon as you do that, these will be packed perfectly and we can give it a margin of 0.001. All right. Now I think the size of them is a little bit larger than earlier. So I think it should work perfectly and not bleed out. So now just select everything. We need to export the file once again. Select everything, go over to File, Export, FBX. And now in the Exports folder, selected objects and select Mesh. We can rename this as Final and hit Export. Come back to Substance Painter and go over to Edit, Project Configuration and just select Final from over here, hit OK. And everything will go like really weird because the UVs have been changed. So it will like look weird as everything would be overlapping each other like this. So don't worry, we just need to bake the mesh maps once again and everything would be fixed. I will also decrease the size to 1K maybe for now so that it is a little bit faster. Bake the mesh maps and just don't do anything. Hit bake selected textures and wait for it to finish. Alright guys, so the bake is finished now. Hit return to painting mode and yeah, you will notice everything is back to normal. Just quickly look for any kind of issues with your model. We can still see a little bit of like bleeding out over here, but let's see if we increase the size of the texture. I'm pretty sure it would get fixed. Yeah, as you can see, when we increase this to 4K, I think it would look perfect. So as you can see, we don't have any kind of color bleeding over here now. And just quickly look if there are any other issues with your model, but I don't think there are any. The textures, everything looks pretty good to me. So yeah, let's just hit save. And I think this is pretty good for this lecture. The next lecture, in my opinion, would be the last one for the texturing. In that, we will be just setting up the glass material a little bit, and then we will export all the textures to Blender to set up the rendering and everything. So thank you guys for watching. I will see you in the next one. Hello and welcome guys. So in this lecture, let's finish up with our texturing. We will be mainly focusing on a glass, but before that, I want to fix up a couple of things. The one thing is this edge sharpen layer, this golden part, I think is a little bit too much. So let's just tone down on it a little bit. So I will come down over here, select it, and let's see. We can maybe select the generator first, and then we can push back the wear level to maybe 0.45. Let's see the difference between the two. So this is 0.6 and this is 0.45. Let's go with 0.5, I think. Also, the thing I'm noticing over here is that the yellow part is completely covering this wood over here. So you can decrease the edge smoothness. If you completely set it to 0, you can see now it is completely pushed back to the edges only. But I think this is also too much. So let's decrease the edge smoothing by like 1.3 maybe. Or let's try 1. Yeah. The last thing that I will do is I will just reduce the opacity to 40. So that way I think it still adds a lot of value to our texture, as you can see, but it is not as much in our faces. Obviously, again, this is like a preference based thing. Earlier, I feel like it was looking a bit too much. Maybe we can increase it to 50. So I'm just trying to find the right sweet spot for this. Hmm, let's see. Let's adjust the grunge amount. Yeah, I think grunge amount we can increase a little bit. That does not matter. Basically increase all this that is in between. So yeah, 0.2 is fine. I will also reduce the opacity of these scratches to 40 because I think they are looking a little bit too bright over here. Yeah, that's better. All right, guys. So yeah, that's pretty good in my opinion. I think this looks much better. Next thing that I will do is I will add a small little design over here on our this gold plated thing. So if you will look in your resource files once again, I've also added like these two ornamental designs that we can add. So just drag and drop them again into the shelf. Select them both as alphas and import them to your project. And I will just add them to the corners over here. So let's select this one, and basically we can create a new layer in the gold damage folder. Let's create a new fill layer, add a black mask to this. Let's go into the perspective view once again, sorry, orthographic view. Select this and you can just stamp it on here like this. As you can see, I think this one size is pretty good. I don't want it to overlap with the clock when we move it in. So yeah, let's just keep it like this. And then we can, if you look through in the property section, you can set the angle to 90, and then you can stamp it up on all of the four sides. So 180, and then I think 270. All right, something like this. Obviously, we don't want this white color, so we can turn off the color channel, and I will also turn off the metallic. Now I will increase the height to 0.1, let's say, to make it appear like this. And then we can also turn off the roughness as well, so that it kind of blends with the like material only. And this I think looks pretty good. Maybe we can set it to 0.05, let's say. And I will also show you something. We can select the mask and add a filter, and you can see it looks like really harsh right now. So let's add a blur filter. So you can do a lot of these type of things with the filter. If you add a blur filter, you will see now it has gone blurry. So just decrease the blur intensity. 0.8 is pretty good. I will just set this to height design because we are using the height channel. I will once again select it and decrease the height to maybe 0.03. And let's decrease the blur as well to 0.06. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. All right, now let's move on to the glass. Close this up and open up the glass folder, and let's add a new fill layer. And basically first what I want to do is I want to mask out the edges. So I will do that manually. So just rename this to edges and add a black mask and add a paint layer as well. It's good to work with a paint layer. Remove this filter and select brushes, and I will just select this dirt one brush. I usually use this one a lot. All of these dirt brushes are pretty good in my opinion. You can use any of the brushes you want to. There are a lot to choose from. But yeah, I will just go with this. And basically what I will do is if you start to paint, you will see this white color will start to appear as it is the mask color, as it is the color of the layer. Change it, you can see it is appearing up over here. So let's just set it to white only so that we can see it properly. We will remove the color later on. So basically what I want to do is I just want to mask out the edges. So adjust the size and the hardness of the brush. I'm telling the shortcut once again. You can hold control and right click. Just hold them both, and when you move the mouse up and down, it will control the hardness. And when you move it left and right, it will control the size. All right. So just start painting with the brush on the edges, just like this, and mask them out completely. We'll also set it to 2K. I think it is lagging up a little bit. Wait for it to load and then we can work, I think, a little bit faster. Yeah, let's just do something like this. And then what you can do is you can maybe select some other brush. So let's say I select this dirt 2, press X and remove some of the areas like lightly to have like a variation. You can press X once again and again add some of the areas, then again remove them. So keep on pressing X to switch between both black and white and just keep adding and removing so that we have like a bit of variation. I don't want to like commit toward like that it covers the center. So make sure it stays along the edges only. Yeah, I think something like this is pretty good. Select this brush once again. And yeah, basically something like this. And then we can move on to the other classes and do the same thing. Reduce the size for this one, do something like this, and then remove it from the center. Then just select some other brush, add some variation along the corners. All right, so yeah, this is pretty good. We won't be able to work like perfectly with the side mirrors because they are not really placed correctly. So we can just keep them at an angle and then try to paint the edges like this. Make sure the like whatever you do on this glass stays on this only and does not get to the other glasses. You can reduce the hardness to like make more variations. Like you can paint with full hardness and then reduce it a little bit to remove from certain areas like this. As you can see, I've now reduced the like brush hardness to very low, so that's why not much is being removed. All right, let's work on this side now. Let's increase the hardness and paint the corners again. Now just press X once again, use the hardness a little bit and remove these areas. Select some other brush. Alright guys, so to make it actually look good, what we basically need to do is just select the edges layer. First, just completely turn off the color channel. So now basically there is no color information. And now what we want to do is we can also remove the metallic. Roughness we do want to keep because roughness and opacity would be the main things that would make it look good. So right now the opacity is set to 1 for this, and as you can see for the base it's set to 0.4. So around the edges, because dust is collected over there, we do want to keep the opacity at maybe something like 0.75 so that it's still visible but not like completely opaque is what I mean. And roughness I will decrease. So let's see, we have set it to completely 0 over here in the middle part. So for the edges we can maybe set it to 0.6. We definitely would have to do like a couple of iterations for this to see how it looks in Blender. Right over here I think it looks all right. Yeah, let's just keep it at this only for now. All right, so now what I will do is I will just duplicate this edges layer and remove this paint layer, and this time we want to fill up the center part that we left out. So just add a fill layer for this, rename this to maybe something like damage only, and yeah, I will be using a fill layer. So there are a couple of different ones that you can use. One that I found out to work pretty well is this one, the grunge with smudge heavy. Sorry, grunge vibe smudge heavy. So just drag and drop it over here and you will see its effects. As you can see, it nicely blends in with our edges as well and fills out in the center with all this dirt. We can set this to triplanar and like adjust the tiling, something like this, and it gives a nice look. You can obviously reduce the balance to decrease the effect, adjust the contrast and things like that. And one another that worked really well was the leaks one. So select leaks, and this one grunge leak small. This one just drag and drop it over here, and you can see this one also looks pretty good. Let's try setting it at 3. Yeah, I think something like this looks pretty good. As you can see, again, obviously, I will decrease the balance a little bit. So you can choose whichever one you want to go for. I think the earlier one worked a little bit better in my opinion. So I will just use this one only for me. Let's try something like this. And now let's just hit save and let's keep it just like this only. And we can just export it to Blender and see how it actually looks. And then we can proceed from there further. If it looks a little bit weird, we will tone down the effect, and if it looks all right, then yeah, we can just go ahead with it. So with this, we are pretty much done in my opinion. Let's set it back to perspective, and first I will open a Blender. Also, one thing that I want to show you guys is, if you want to adjust this damage layer specifically, you can also add a paint layer to this. Like if you want to remove it from certain areas like this, as you can see, or if you want to add it in like certain areas, you can just press X and start to paint on your own. So yeah, you can definitely do those type of things if you want to. You can see if you turn it on and off, you will see the effect. So yeah, let's just keep it like this. I don't wanna spend too much time now. Go back to Blender and see what we can do now. First, I will come over here and change the render engine from EV to cycles and set this to GPU, because we will be using cycles to like render everything. We can enable denoise as well. All right. Let's first export our textures from Substance Painter so that we can use them in Blender. So to export the textures, you just need to hit Control Shift and E. Basically, that's the shortcut, and you can also go over here to File, Export Textures. All right, now we need to select the output directory. I will save it over here in the textures folder only. Let's just save it out here. Hit select folder. Now we have the output template. Basically, there are like templates present for all the different kinds of software. Like we have Unreal Engine 4, we also have like Corona, CryEngine, Cycles, everything. So I will be choosing Blender, principal BSDF, and I will select the file type as PNG, and we can just set it to 16 bits. Size can be 4K, and with this we are pretty much done. We don't need to do too much. Hit export and wait for the export to finish. Alright guys, so the export is done now. Let's come back to Blender and go into the shading tab so that we can actually create the material. So there is like a nice and easy way to create this material. Like if you will see in the textures folder, you will see all these different textures that we need to connect up over here in to create like a setup. So there is like a shortcut for this process, but first you just need to make sure you have enabled the add-on. So in the preferences add-on, search for Node Wrangler and make sure to enable it. This is like a nice add-on that we can use while we are like working with nodes. So now just select your material, any of the object, then make sure you are in hall clock material. Select the principal BSCF and press Ctrl Shift and T, and this will open up this principal texture setup. So now you just need to go in the textures folder, select everything, and just hit principal texture setup and wait for it to finish. And as soon as it is done, you can see the texture is appearing over here. You will not be able to see through the glass because we are currently in this like uh, real-time rendering type thing, which is like which works like Eevee, and we won't be able to see the glass effects. But if you move over to the layout tab and actually view the cycles render engine, I think it should work. And yeah, as you can see, we can see through it. Let's just select all of them, press GX then -2, I think. Sorry, GX then 2, and yeah, they are placed exactly over here, and you can clearly see that we can see through them. So yeah, the glass is working pretty good. So we will be adding lights and stuff to see how it actually looks. Let's select all of this. Let's first select this, then press GX then -1, I think, and yeah, it is exactly fitting over here. I want to see if I was overlapping with these things. I think I'm not. I'm good with this. And select this, press GX then -2. Sorry, I think we did GX then -1.5. All right, perfect. So now we have basically completed our texturing, and we have also set up the textures over here in Blender. You can maybe add a simple light like something like sun. And now if you press R two times, you can rotate it around to see it work. And yeah, the model is coming along pretty good. We might have to adjust the glass a little bit, but yeah, that's fine. So for now, I think this is pretty good for this lecture. The next lecture would be the last one where we will set up the lights and the camera and take a couple of screenshots and then edit out the portfolio renders. So yeah, that would be the end of our course. So thank you guys for watching. I will see you in the next one. Hello and welcome guys and welcome to the last lecture of this course. In this lecture, we will be basically setting up the lights and camera to capture a couple of portfolio screenshots for our model. So in the last lecture, we basically added all the textures and everything to our material. So now let's add some lights. First, I will just remove this sunlight for now. So delete it and we can go over here in the shading tab and I will be using a HDRI to light up the scene. Just wait for it to load a little bit. All right. Now we can just from object. So right now, whenever we select any material, we are currently in the object mode. That's why we can select the materials and we can see them appear over here. If we change this to world, then we can change the world settings from over here. So press Shift A and add an environment texture. Basically, that is what we use for HDRIs. And over here in the resource files, I've added a simple HDRI that you can use. Obviously, if you have some of your own or you want to download any from the internet, feel free to do so, but I will be using this one. So just hit open and select this file from over here and now just plug it in. When you have done that, if you view the rendered view from over here, you can see the HDRI has started to appear and we will be getting some natural light in our scene. All right. Now what I want is, first I want to set up a camera. So let's do that. Let's come back to the layout only. And to set up a camera, very simple. Let's just press Shift A and add a camera. And now what you basically want to do is you want to set up your view just like you want the camera to like appear. So let's say I want the view to be something like this. Now just place your view like this, select the camera, then press Control, Alt and 0 on your number pad. You can see the camera has set up itself almost according to that view. Now you will go over here in the side toolbar. So press N to make it appear. Select view from over here and enable camera to view. When you do that, you can move your camera around very simply as you would move around in Blender. So that works pretty good for us. And we can place it like this. And now make sure to turn it off because it will get weird when you move around like this. It will get like all messed up. So now you can press 0 on the number pad to view through the camera. And if you just move it around, you can now normally view your scene. So if you press 0, then we are back in camera. So if you view the rendered view now, we can see it something like this. Now what I want to do is I want to remove all this like HDRI image that we have at the background. I don't really want that. So to do that, in the render settings only, scroll down and you will find this film option and make sure to enable transparent. As soon as you do that, you will see all of it has disappeared. And also we can enable render region from over here. Basically, it will just show the render region and nothing else. We don't really have anything else, so that does not matter for us. All right, now back to shading tab in the render view. In the render view mode, press 0 for the camera view, and now just select your HDRI that you just added and press Ctrl plus T. This will add a mapping node to this, and basically, with the help of this, you can rotate it around. As you can see, you're rotating it around. I think if you enable back the transparent thing, if you disable this, I think we will be able to see it move around. Yeah, as you can see. So basically, that is what this node does. So you need to just rotate it around and find like a nice sweet spot for light. And basically what I will be trying to do is I will try to give it some lighting on the back to add like a rim light type of effect. So yeah, as you can see, something like this. So you can maybe increase it. Yeah, I think 300 fits pretty good. As you can see, the backside of it is getting light up And what I will do now is I will add a simple area light on the front to light up the front of the our model. So now press 7 for top view and just press Shift A and add a light and add an area light. Let's go back to the layout only. Press R, then X, rotate it by 90 degrees like this. Now press 7 for top view and just move it around and press R to rotate it in the top view mode only to make sure that it faces your model like this. Now when you press 0 or camera view, enable the render view mode, and right now it is very faint, but if you select the area light and increase the power, maybe 100, as you can see, it will start to light up. We can see this area light is shining back in our glass. So if you don't like that, you can maybe increase the size of it, then it would disappear. But now the lighting looks really flat. So let's go with something like 1.5. Increase the power to 200 maybe. It's too bright, so we can move it a little bit far back. Rotate it like this. Increase the size to 2. And now it is a little bit more dispersed. I think that's a little bit too far away. I think this way looks pretty good to me. What we can do is we can just press F12 to render out our image and see how it looks. Then we can move ahead from that point. So just go to render and select render image, or you can just press F12. So I will wait for it to finish and then resume back. Alright guys, so the render is finished now. You can just maximize it and zoom in on it. And I think the glass looks pretty good to me. And the light as well is looking alright. You can see the all these imperfections that we added in it are pretty apparent. So maybe we can tone them down a little bit in Substance Painter. But again, that's totally up to your preference. Maybe I will do it a little bit. Even this, I think, looks pretty good to me. So yeah, let's just quickly open up Substance Painter once again. And then we can just tone down the opacity or maybe roughness of these imperfections that we added on the glass. All right. Another thing that I want to show you is that when you press 0 on your number pad to view the camera view, you can also adjust the resolution from over here. So let's say if you want to render it out in maybe 1440p, you can increase the resolution. Or if you want to render it out in like sort of, what do we say, like a square type of format, because this is like a long object and a lot of this area is empty. So we can maybe render it out, let's say 2000 by 1000. Let's try 1500. Sorry. And then we can just enable camera to view and again zoom it in. Yeah, maybe something like this, so that it will have a different like look to it. You can just press F12 once again and render it out like this as well. So basically I want to mention that you can change the resolution and things like that to render it accordingly. I think our model and textures came out pretty good. They look really nice as well in this light. So yeah, now Substance Painter has opened up. We can quickly open up our file. Alright guys, so as you can see, this render is done as well. And it looks pretty good. Now Substance Painter also has opened up. So basically what I will do is just select the glass Let's select the damage and basically decrease the opacity to maybe like something 0.5 for this as well, the edges. And let's reduce the roughness as well to maybe zero point 0.4. Let's try 0.45 for this. Yeah, now we can just again quickly hit Control Shift and E and export it out once again to the same directory. Alright guys, so the export is done now, and if you go back in Blender, let's close this, and you need to just switch back to the layout and again go back in the rendered view, and I think the textures should update themselves. And yeah, as you can see, they look a little less apparent now. So I will show you a nice little way that way you can like compare the renders. So press F11 on your keyboard this time. So this is the old render that we just did. Change the slot from 1 to 2 like this, and now press F12. So basically this is getting rendered in the slot 2 so that we can compare the renders of both slot 1 and 2. Wait for it to finish and let's see how this looks. Alright guys, once again the rendering is done. So now if you press J on your keyboard, you will see you can easily compare the two renders and see how they fare out. So as you can see over here, the imperfections are a bit too much and they look kind of in our faces. If you press J, this is the new render. So obviously it has toned down a lot. If you want, you can increase it or decrease it, whatever you feel like. But I think this much is pretty good. I will be going ahead with this. Next, what I want to do is press 0 once again, and I kind of feel like the light over here in our like main clock area is a little bit less. So I will just move it upwards like this, or we can just duplicate this light. So move it close over here. Let's try that and just reduce the power of it to maybe like 50. Size as well to 1. So I'm just trying out different things. I think this looks pretty good in my opinion. Let's reduce the power to 35. Yeah, I think this is pretty good. Now, what you can do is you can experiment around with this however you like. You can change things like the color as well to give them like a totally different look. So rendering is now totally up to you. You can also like create a studio type of scene. Basically, with a Shift A, add a plane. And this thing also I do quite a lot when I have like a single prop to render out. Create a plane, rotate it like this, and move it back over here. Scale it up. Press Ctrl A, apply the scale, press Tab, and select this edge. Press E to extrude it out. Press Y and create like some sort of this thing, and just place it at the feet of your model. Just like that. Scale it up, and now just so you don't have this corner over here, you can select this corner, press Ctrl V and bevel it out completely. This way it will look completely smooth at the back, giving like a studio light kind of setup. So go back to your rendered view. You can now select it, press S then X, scale it up like this. Add a material, and now you can play around with the color to give your model again a different kind of look. Maybe going with a shade of brown would look really nice. So yeah, I'm just trying to show you different things that you can do to render it out. Now I will also suggest you guys to like add different cameras, like add multiple cameras and take like shots from different angles. Also, let's just delete this for now. And what I will do is basically select this complete thing. First, let's press Shift A, or sorry, press Shift S and cursor to select it. Bring the cursor over here. Press Shift A and add a empty object, plane axis. And basically, I want to parent all of these things to the empty object. This way, it will get easier for you guys to place it around, move it around, duplicate it, things like that. So yeah, I will just disable all of these lights and everything. Just go over here, press A to select everything, or just make a selection this way, and make sure that this is your active selection. So at the end, select the empty axis. So active selection is basically the one with this yellow color outline. Now right click, parent and object. This way, whenever you select just this empty axis, you can move it around easily, scale it however you like, rotate it. You cannot duplicate it. So just select them all and then duplicate it. And basically this will have the parent as well. So it is like a nice little thing so that you can easily move and rotate it around. All right. Press Alt plus H, and bring everything back. If you will press F11 now, you can view the render that you just made. Let's go to the slot 3 and create a new one. Press F12 and I will just quickly wait for it to finish. Alright guys, so the render is done once again now. You can again just cycle through them by pressing J. And yeah, as I was saying, you can edit everything according to you, add more lights and do all sorts of things. Let's just save this render image now because this lecture is already quite long now. I will save it. I will save it in my files only. You can save it wherever you want. Let's save it as JPG. I will save it as one. Okay, sorry. I will just save it over here outside. And now basically it will appear over here with your files. Now let's just quickly open up this file in Photoshop. I will show you a couple of things and then we will finish with the course. Alright guys, so now in Photoshop you can adjust it accordingly, like doing things like adjusting the brightness, contrast, all those things, adding like a color tint. Basically what I usually do is first I will just select auto tone from over here because I honestly don't know Photoshop that well. But I've noticed that doing this auto tone will fix up your colors of the render a little bit. And one more thing that I always do is I will just go over to filter, sharpen and sharpen mode. I share this thing in all of my tutorials, but you can clearly see the difference with this. Let's just uh, undo it once again. And as soon as I use sharpen mode, you will see how all these edges are like much more sharp and as if the resolution has increased and the details are popping out a lot more. So it is like a nice thing that you can do to your renders. With that enabled, everything looks a little bit fuzzy. And yeah, sharpen mode can work like wonders with your render, making it look even better. So as you can see, it looks really nice. So yeah, basically that was pretty much it. Not much, but yeah, it definitely adds to your render. And you can do all sorts of things, whatever you want to from over here. Auto color will also sometimes fix up the colors of your scene, but maybe this yellowish tint is all right. So you can just hit save on this and save it as the JPG file. Alright guys, so basically this is it for this course. I hope you liked it. So thank you guys for watching. I will see you in the next one.